and it's day one and you walking in there on the first day, man, you in there, man. But you feel something. It's right in here, man. And it's screaming, and it's yelling, and it's saying, release me. And it's saying, I am the number one determinant of the success or failure of my students. Hey, y'all, when you get back, kick some butt, and I'll see you in the winner's circle celebrating your victory. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! You got this! You got this! You got this! Thank you, everybody.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 212 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got here checking in, man. We had some folks on here. We've been having folks checking in before I even got on, man. That's such a blessing. We got Sharon Wright in the building out in Blandon, Pennsylvania. Mona Obermolak. Man, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Mona. You send me the phonetics if I'm not, right? Checking in, always saying hello to the fam, you know, as Sharon does as well. To the wife, to the queen, to the fam. We got John Few in the building down in South Carolina. Mona's in Orlando. Constance Sherrod is in Pearl, Mississippi. Happy to be back. Happy to have you back. We got Dr. Rachel Edo Eckett in the building, man, doing big things. Should be on in a couple of weeks, man. We coming back for a second go round, so stay tuned for that. We got Grace Castaneda, and Dr. Edo Eckett is down in Maryland, by the way. Grace Castaneda is in the building. She's out in Texas. We got Takesha High in the building, Virginia. Rodney Richardson, Hampton, Virginia. Tashika Truesdale's down in the ATL. Marsha Poe is in San Diego. Dr. Rella Hicks is in the building. Lysandra Brackens. And by the way, we got Marsha Poe in San Diego, man. I just always am so appreciative that she wakes up so early to be a part of the AP and New Principals Academy fam, man. That's big time for me. We got Lysandra Brackens in North Carolina. Yolanda McKinney is in the building out there in Arkansas. Ricardo Yanis is in Texas. Good to see you always, good brother. We got Demetrius Scott, or I should say Dr. Demetrius Scott, or may I say Principal Dr. Maybe that should reverse. That's Dr. Principal Demetrius Scott in the building. A lot of big things happening in this young man's life. I mean, he just got the doctorate, just got the principalship, man. The trajectory is looking good, right? We got Dr. Sheikah Houston in the building. My sister in education, man. Her and Dr. Tammy Taylor doing their thing, Create and Educate every Saturday, Facebook Live. Part of Super Saturdays, along with Sean Hurt, man. He was having a great discussion on young people who contemplate suicide. So if you missed it, go back and check him out, and then join him live next Saturday for part 2 of that important discussion. And then we got Josh Tovar bringing it home on Sundays. I don't know how I'm gonna be doing this, man. We were Fantastic Four, and then when he fell off the grid for a minute, and I started calling it Super Saturdays, and I kind of like that Super Saturdays, man. You know, so I guess we'll say Super Saturday and Josh with the other component of the Fantastic Four. I don't know, man. I got to find a quiet space and just kind of think that one through. Right? We got Rashad Davis out there in Vegas in the 702. We got there's Sean. I see you, my brother. That's my brother, man. We got Keena Walker in the building. Awaken the Genius podcast, checking in from from the ATL. We got Melissa Jones-Chunu holding it down in Tulsa. We got Michael Benton out there in Cincinnati. I've been reading about y'all, man, and we'll keep it right there. Luther said, keep it right there, right? So we're going to keep it right there. we got the queen of the castle. Oh, I got to do it. The queen of the castle, baby. Kimberly Broughton Kafele in the building. We got Sherrod Laws in the building, Greenville, North Carolina. We got Dot McKeever Jeter as principal, retired principal Dot McKeever Jeter in the building down in Calumet City. I shouldn't say down, up, Illinois. Where we at? Sherrod Laws said Harambe. Everybody, somebody said, what's Harambe? Or you could say Harambe, but I'm trying to bring a little roll in, right? Harambe. That means we will pull together. We'll come together as this one family. That's what it means. We got Jasmine Harris out in Cali. Always thankful that Jasmine wakes up so early, man, to be here with us. Kimberly Donahue is in the building. Dr. Lottie Watson is in the building. We got Scott Wiley, Annette Mack. I'm getting ready to shut it down, y'all. We got Canada in the building. Jacqueline Harriet up there in Nova Scotia is in the building. MPA Jaguars. That's my man, Josh. Hey, Josh, man, yesterday was brutal, so I'll get back to you on that today. He said he's on fire. And then I'm going to wrap it up, y'all. I see Nolene Martin is out in North Texas. I see Tanya Pugh is in the building. Let me see. Y'all know I'm looking for that Jersey homie. I see Ronald Pugh getting ready to start that new assignment. I'm looking to see, do I got any Jersey homies in the building? Yeah, Josh, I got to clean that mirror off. I don't see the Jersey, man. Where's Jersey? Maybe some of y'all Jersey. I see Stacy Joy, though, out there in Cali. Another one getting up early from the West Coast. I don't see no Jersey homies, man. They could be here, and I don't know. Oh, here's one. And this is the best one to stop with, too. We got Dr. Vincent Stallings in the building. He all Jersey, man. That's all he know is Jersey, right? Yeah, Dr. Vincent Stallings in the building. I'm gonna end it right there, y'all. And let me say formally to everybody now, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 212 of the AP and New Principals Academy. And y'all, those of you that have been with me for the past couple of weeks, you know that like this new operating system with Mac ain't letting my fire come through at all. It mutes me, right? So I'm not even going to go through the motion. But I did make some kind of an adjustment on here. I don't know. Let me try it out, man, because it's in me, man. I made some kind of adjustment on the operating system. I don't know what's going to work. But I will tell you in all sincerity that despite I'm going to tell you about some of my challenges over the past 24 hours. But despite those challenges, I'm on fire. Woo! Yeah, man. You know, that's like trademarking brand, you know. So like if I don't do it, I feel like something's missing because I've been doing it for the longest, except for when I'm in the hotel. But something's up. Y'all hit me up in the comment. Let me know if my fire came through, man. I have no idea. I see y'all giving me the fire emoji, but did it come through? Because see, that new operating, Vinny said, no, I ain't supposed to call you Vinny on here, right? Dr. You know, that's homie, man. I call him Vinny, right? Dr. Stallings said it didn't come through. So, all right, so I got to call Mac. My wife said the same thing. So it's like, I'm on. So I gotta call Mac, man. Like, yo, man, you messing with my Saturday flow. That ain't gonna work. Always fidgeting with something, man. New operating system. Just leave it alone. The one that y'all came up with back in the 90s was fine, right? So let me go, y'all. Listen, y'all. Let me. I got the big time guest in the building, man. So let me get through this real quick. It's May 18th, and that means yesterday was May 17th, the 70th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education. I got some thoughts on that in a second, but first, shout out to the Texas Black Expo. Woo! Texas Black Expo in Houston. I was there yesterday. I flew there Wednesday night and I'm home, right? But I was there yesterday, did a podcast interview with the founder of the expo, my man, Jerome Love. We were flowing too, man. Great interview. I said stuff on there that I thought later on. I said, should I have said that? But we were flowing, so we were good, you know. So we'll let you know when that's up. But and then we did the panel discussions, man, too. I was supposed to speak to about 4 different college presidents, various colleges in Texas, and then a second panel with 4 superintendents in Texas. They brought the brother from Jersey out there to moderate the 2 panels. But there was a storm. Y'all see them Houston storms, them Texas storms, but primarily in the Houston area. I was out there. Wow, that was some bad stuff, man. And the city looked like it just looked bad after them storms. Just so much damage, right? But I was there. But a lot of the panelists couldn't make it. So the president of Prairie View A&M University, Dr. LeGrand, and I, we just did a one-on-one, man. Whole hour. We just let it flow. We just kicked it, man. Had a great conversation on the topic of economics and education, the link between education and the economic prosperity of underserved communities, right? So that video should be available at some point on YouTube. So shout out to them. And then the superintendent, same topic, but just from a superintendent standpoint. And then shout out to myself. How about that? I started that book April 29th, and 18 days later, which was May 15th, I finished the first draft, right? I wrote 40,000 words in 18 days. Now, of course, I took the month of May off, except for the Texas Black Expo. But I took the month off to write this book. I guess I only needed to take a half a month off, right? But I took the month off. Now for the next week, I'm just going to refine, revise, and edit, and then send it to the publisher. And my understanding is that this book will be out before 2024 ends, right? So, that's a quick turnaround, but it's called What is My Value to the Teachers That I Supervise Instructionally? Again, what is my value to the teachers that I supervise instructionally? So you think about that. I'm coming from a leadership standpoint. What does instructional leadership look like for you? And then you got Nicole Turner, who's in the wings, talking about, okay, now here's the implementation as it relates to the instructional coach. Man, it's like a marriage between the two perspectives, right? So what is my value to the teachers that I supervise? Be on the lookout, y'all. They'll go on pre-order in October. So that's right around the corner. And then they'll be out, I think, by December. I'm probably giving you too much information. ASCD probably saying, slow down, bro. You ain't supposed to put all that out there just yet, right? So, but I'm soup, man. That's an old school term. I'm amped. That's old school too. I'm excited. That's mainstream, right? So, there we are. Welcome to the first timers. I'm glad you're here, but I got to let you know something. You missed 211 sessions. Shame on you. Right. But I didn't know about this. People be like, check this out. People, they say, Kafele, because I get these responses every day. People say, I watch your videos and I got the job. 7 days a week, I get that email or inbox. 7 days a week. I got the job, particularly in this season, right? I got the job. And then my immediate response, or on a YouTube comment, my immediate response, are you part of the Saturday family? And here's what they say 99% of the time. No, what's that? You don't know, but the video is on the same channel. You didn't bother to click the link. Like it's the title of the channel. It says AP and New Principals Academy. You mean to tell me you sat up there and watched those interview videos and had no curiosity of that link that says AP and New Principals Academy? Come on, y'all. We got to do better. If the link is right there, what it's saying to you, this interview video is good, but there's something greater that houses the interview video. And that's this academy. That'll get you the job. But in addition to getting you the job, it'll make you effective. How effective? Highly effective. But you gotta watch the academy. So I got the job, Principal Kafele. Oh man, great. Are you a member of the fam? The AP and New Principal Academy? No, what's that? Let me stop being silly so early in the morning. Hey, School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. There's people saying, what's that to that too? What's that? Right? That's my institute that I do every year, every July. It's going to be July 9 and 10 in Houston. Come join me in Houston. It was a young lady. She might be watching right now. She's at the Texas Black Expo. I didn't promote the academy. I didn't promote my books. I didn't promote my institute, which is in Houston where I was yesterday. And man, her and it was two of them. Man, they rode me, man. She's like, hold up, Kafele, man. You all the way in Houston. Your institute is in Houston, and you didn't mention it. Let me holler at somebody out there about protocol. Let me school you, because some of y'all don't know. There's a time and a place for everything. If you're the moderator of a panel, that's not your place to now self-promote, man. It's not. That's like, check out my books now. Go to my website, right? I got an institute coming up and a conference, right? No, that ain't the place, y'all. Because some of y'all, because I be in them audience and I see it. I'm like, man, you don't understand, man. That's not proper decorum, right? So I wasn't the keynote. And even when you keynote, and you got to be careful with how you self-promote. But I wasn't the keynote. I was just the moderator. And that's what the lady was saying. She's saying, you more than a moderator, right? Like I know, but that ain't my place, man. So I had to take the L on that one. I don't mind that, because God is good. God got me. God is good. So I'm not worried about that, right? So understand that, y'all. There's protocol to things, man. You can't be, you the moderator of a panel of prestigious people, I might add, superintendents, college and university presidents, and now you up there talking about, don't forget to get my book, right? Don't forget to join me at my institute, right? Don't forget to visit my website. Y'all hear how that sound? See that? You got that big audience, because it's a big audience, but you got to, sometimes you got to humble yourself. Right, that really could be the monologue, right? But it's not, right? But you gotta know how to humble yourself. So now I get on my Saturday platform. Yeah, get this book right here. I'll do that. The Assistant Principal Identity. Get this book, The Assistant Principal 50. Get this book, The Principal 50. Get this book, Is My School a Better School Because I Lead It? Get this book, The Aspiring Principal 50. And since I'm on this roll right now, get this book, The Equity and Social Justice Education 50. Get this book, The Teacher 50. Get this book, Motivating Black Males to Achieve in School and Life. Get this book, Closing the Attitude Gap. I'm on a roll, y'all. See, so in other words, I can do that here. And maybe all them people that was in that room are watching right now, right? So they be like, man, I ain't know that dude wrote all them books, man. I thought he was just the moderator. Nah, man. There's a little bit more to me than that, right? So, so that's how you do, y'all. I hope that was beneficial to somebody, right? Let's go. So join me in Houston, July 9 and 10. Go to principalkafele.com, scroll down to the announcements, and click that link. And let's just talk leadership, man. Instructional leadership for 2 days. I got enough content to go for a week. I didn't know I was going to write 40,000 words. I told the publisher I'm doing 25,000. I'm out. When I got to 25,000, I said, oh my God, I ain't halfway finished this thing yet. I got a lot up here, y'all, about this instructional leadership. So join me July 9 and 10. But then the next week, come back to Houston, Rock Conference, right? The Black Educators Rock Organization, the Rock Conference, rockconference.org, rockconference.org, rockconference.org. Man, everybody gonna be in there. I'm looking at Sheikah's name right now. Dr. Sheikah Houston gonna be in the building. Dr. Tammy Taylor gonna be in the building. Sean Hurt gonna be in the building. Marcus Jackson gonna be in the building. Man, all them cats, all them folks gonna be in the building. I'm gonna be in the building too. And then I'm gonna do my annual leadership presentation all day long on the 21st, that Sunday. So go to rockconference.org and register. We're gonna see you in the building, right? All right. Be sure to subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel, y'all. Subscribe. Hit the button. It used to be a red button. Now it's just a button. Hit the button. Subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy. Thank you, Sheikah. Dr. Houston. Subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. We almost at 21,000, man. Them new subscribers keep on coming in. So we almost there. So hit that button and subscribe. Get the notification, and you're there. Jacqueline Harriet says she registered. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I'm talking about. So you go to that Rock Conference. There's the link. And then lastly, make sure that you like and follow the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page. Man, I know I haven't been consistent with that. I will, y'all. But y'all got to understand, as much as I try to be a machine, I'm really not. I'm human like you. And sometimes I just got to bring it like way down. Bring it way down. Yeah, I'm going to see you, Sandra Krause Ayers. I'm going to see you at the Character Strong Conference in Tacoma, Washington. I'm looking forward to that, man. I'll be there. I don't know what the date is, but I know it's on my calendar, so I'm going to be there. And by the way, y'all, I'm getting ready to get my guest up here, but I got to give you this quick monologue. By the way, y'all, I'm noticing something. I think people forgot, and I hope it's a lot of like potential clients on here right now. I think people forgot that I speak to teachers, because it's like 90% or more of my invites are to administrators these days. And that is what I do. I mean, that's my passion. So don't get me wrong. It's not a criticism. But I think people are now associating me with just leadership. Nah, man. I still do that teacher work. So if you got that need for that teacher, you got that need for that convocation message, you got that need for my closing the attitude gap message, you got that need for my equity message, or I should say messages, yes, meaning I got a whole lot of messages about equity, diversity, inclusion. I'm still that guy. It's just like in the old, like I used to be the go-to Kwanzaa guy, and then all of a sudden I fell off the map. Right? No, I still got them Nguzo Saba principles message. Then I was the Black History Month guy, and people think, oh no, he just do the educate. No, I still got that history knowledge, right? It's like things become seasonal, and ultimately they forget. So now they just got me as the leadership guy, and I guess when they forget I do that, then I will be non-existent. I'll just be here on Saturdays, right? So folks, I run the gamut. I talk to the counselors. I talk to the instructional coaches. I talk to the paraprofessionals. I talk to the security monitors. I talk to the custodians. I do secretary presentation. Yes, I'm not joking. I talk to anybody. I do the superintendent talk. I do the central office talk. I do the coaching talk, meaning the athletic coaches. I got all that. So don't box me into just principals and APs. I run the gamut. Enough said. I told my wife I gotta let them know they forgot, man. Hey y'all, let me do this quick monologue. I got the big time guest. She probably saying, hurry up and bring me up here. Listen, Brown versus Board of Education, man. There's a book. I want to recommend this book. I don't have it I can't put my hands on it right now, but this book, I have it. I just don't have it near me. Jim Crow's Pink Slip. Jim Crow's Pink Slip, written by Dr. Leslie Fenwick, who's the sister of my brother, Dr. Chika Akua. When I say sister, I mean like blood, right? She wrote this amazing book. And I want to quote her here. She says, in their rush to stop Brown's mandate, segregationists initiated a massive resistance strategy that ultimately led to the firing, dismissal, or demotion of 100,000 plus exceptionally credentialed and experienced Black principals and Black teachers between 1952 and the late 70s. So in other words, Brown is 1954, but she took it back 2 years to 52 as change was coming. And her data revealed that over 100,000, as she said, exceptionally credentialed Black principals. Because see, a lot of times we talk about the 25,000 teachers who lost their jobs. But see, Dr. Fenwick's research showed, no, don't just focus on the teacher. incorporate the principles and don't just focus on that block of time in the 50s, because the impact wasn't just in the 50s. The impact went all the way to the 70s and now. So she said between that time, 100,000 plus were either fired, dismissed, or demoted. So it wasn't outside of comprehension that a principal became a custodian, to give you that example, right? That's what it was. I see you, Dr. Joe Griffin. I see you, right? But that's where it was. If you don't know Dr. Griffin, you go to his Facebook page. Yeah, I don't have a website, but you can put it in the thread, sir. Go to his Facebook page and you'll see where the website is and check him out. He does the same work I do, right? He's in Cali, right? So check this data real quick. She said prior to Brown, and just focus in, because I don't have this on the screen, but I want you to try to retain these numbers or just get the book. She said prior to Brown, 35% to 50% of principals and teachers were Black in the 17 dual system states. So in those 17 Southern segregated states, entire state now, 35 to 50% of the principals, 35 to 50% of the teachers were Black in those 17 states, right? We talking Jim Crow's pink slip by Dr. Leslie Fenwick. She said today no state even approaches these percentages. No state approaches those percentages of 35 to 50%. She said less than 7% of the nation's 3.2 million teachers are Black. Y'all hear me? Less than 7% of the nation's 3.2 million teachers are Black. Less than 11% of the nation's 90,000 principals are Black. I mean, let that resonate for a second. And I don't want this just to resonate with the African American or Black fam that's out there. All of us, we all in this game together. We're just giving you data. Less than 11% of the nation's 90,000 principals are Black. See, we can be in a major city that is heavily populated with African American young people and families, and therefore see schools that reflect and staff that reflects to some degree the communities in which the school is. So we'll think, oh yeah, they ain't got a lot of Black principals over here, right? Like you get different parts of South Carolina, different parts of North Carolina, different parts of Georgia, particularly in the Atlanta metro area, and you'll see, man, they got a lot of or Detroit. Right, a lot of these big cities, these metro areas. So you'll see a lot of principals that are Black. You say, oh man, we doing good. There's a lot of Black principals. But now this data is saying, oh, pump the brakes. Nationally, in places where there are a lot of Black children, right? Or be it Black children, whether or not they're Black children shouldn't constitute whether or not Black principals should be hired. Let's make sure that we're clear here. The school could be 100% white. Does that mean as a Black principal, I'm not qualified to lead non-Black children? Of course not. Right? So I don't want to get caught up into Black principals are required where there are Black children. Yeah, they're needed there. But the qualification is anywhere. That certification that we all have doesn't say you are now duly certified to lead in schools that are populated with Black people. No, the certification says you are duly certified to lead a school. So if everybody's all Black, all white, all Chinese, all Japanese, all Arab, whatever, the certification says I'm qualified to lead you. Period. End of story. Drop the daggone mic. See, so less than 11%. I'm almost done. Less than 3% of the nation's nearly 14,000 superintendents are Black. See, so we'll be in these big cities, man, right? And oh man, they got Black superintendent. Oh man, they got Black superintendent. Then when you go to the conferences, National Alliance of Black School Educators, you see all these Black superintendents all over the place, right? NAPSE. But That's because of a concentration. So now less than 3% of the nation's nearly 14,000 superintendents are black. You better hit that share button. You better hit that retweet. You better hit that tag somebody. You better call somebody, text somebody, and let them know AP and New Principals Academy 1055 is the only place to be. We giving you the information. I'm almost done. The underrepresentation of black people in the nation's educator workforce is tied to the massive resistance to Brown. Y'all didn't hear me. Let me give you that again. I'm talking about now. The underrepresentation of black people in the nation's educator workforce today is tied to the massive resistance to Brown versus the Board of Education. And let me put in parentheses of Topeka, Kansas. Because sometimes you ask people, do you realize which Board of Education they're talking about? And they're like, nah, who is Topeka, Kansas. Do you know who Brown is? It's a little girl named Linda Brown, right? So I won't get into the history. And then I put two notes here that I just wanted to add. This is not coming from the book. I just wanted to throw this at you. You remember Little Rock? Little Rock 9, 1957. You remember that. I'm not going to get into the history because I got to guess. The following year, they were so upset there that Little Rock, Arkansas closed all of their high schools for the 1958-59 school year. They said, nah, we ain't doing this. We're not bringing black children into these schools, so we will just shut it all down. So that was the high schools. But Prince Edward County, Virginia, they went a step further. They said, we ain't doing this either. They shut down the entire district. For how long? 5 years. 1959 to 1964, you could not go to school in Prince Edward County, Virginia. They invited me to speak there, but it was years ago. I was still a principal. I took that day off. I had to get there. And I went there and I just had to feel it. You know, I know that wasn't the people, but I had to feel it. And you know, I brought it up. You know, I had to be me. You know, but yeah, Prince Edward County, Virginia. And by the way, Prince Edward, if any of y'all on here right now, bring me back. Yeah, I ain't been there in a long time, right? But yeah, they closed the entire school district for 5 years, beginning in 1959. That's my monologue this morning, y'all. You know, I don't like when Brown, you know, every anniversary, May 17. I don't like when it just goes by and we don't say anything about it. Like, let's talk about it. And let's talk about its after effects. Let's talk about its consequences to today's education, right? Let's have those conversations. You know, I about a year ago, I spent more time on this. I did it as a part of my topic. Today, I just did it as my monologue. And but now I'm ready to shift gears. So let's shift. And I want to talk instructional coaching. Before I bring up my guests, let me organize my screen, because a lot of times I don't have it ready. I forget, right? So let me get my screen right. And let me get my guest up here, and we gonna talk. My goodness, let's do this right, and let's get the right screen. I'm bugging. There we go. Hey, Nicole Turner, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank
I,
you so much for inviting me back.
oh man, this ain't the last time either, man. Your topic is never going to die. It's never irrelevant. It's just the second one, right? You coming back. You know, we
Yes.
probably do this every year, but you know, I appreciate your patience with me. I did not plan to be on that long doing that, but sometime when I get into these monologues, the spirit kind of moves me. I've
Oh,
cried.
yeah.
I've cried on these monologues. I've broken down on these monologues. I've pounded my desk on these monologues. These monologues, you know, you just never know in terms of what my topic is, how it's going to affect me. I remember I did a monologue one day, and I didn't get to my guest until it was almost 45 minutes later. You know, it was I could have ended the presentation at that note, but something happened in the world which I'm not going to get into right now, and that happened. So anyway, hey folks, I'm here. We ready. We're talking instructional leadership, instructional coaching today. I want please let somebody know. This is one of the most important topics if you're a leader that I will have on this platform. All of my guests and my topics, my when I do my own solo topics, they're all important. But when you're a school leader, when you're a school principal or assistant principal, and I could even say central office, but I want to focus on the building level, then this topic of instructional coaching, this topic of instructional leadership, this is at your core. This is at your center. This is at your heart. This is at the soul of your leadership, and everything else kind of revolves around that, because the instruction is where the rubber meets the road. So are students going to become able to come out of your school? And I'm not talking about standardized assessments. Are youngsters going to be able to come out of your schools having learned so much that has prepared them for proficiency and productivity throughout the world? But if that instruction is not such that those connections are not being made, right? The intentions could be sound, but the reality, the actuality, were those connections made that youngster can be in position to learn from his or her teacher? Well, let me tell you something, my fam out there. That falls on your leadership. And we're gonna unpack all that today. All that. So let me read Nicole's bio, and I might add, she would never put this in her own bio. This is me. If you've ever seen anything I've posted about her, in terms of these invites, I mean not invites, but in terms of the promotion of the interview or the conversation, I always use the word guru. Always, I call her an instructional coach guru. That's what I do. But I also, as I told her off camera, I say that about her in places when I'm recommending her work, that but I don't say, like, I'm saying it now because she's on the screen, where I'm saying a instructional coaching guru. But when she's not in the room with me, I say the instructional coaching guru. So I don't think it would be fair for me to be saying that with her sitting here watching, right? She's not here. Right. When I'm out on the road and I'm saying, you need to study and bring into your district the instructional coaching guru, Nicole S. Turner. Right. So let me read this bio, y'all. Nicole S. Turner stands out in the world of K-12 education with her innovative approach. As the founder and CEO of Simply Instructional Coaching Incorporated, she has created a unique space for instructional coaches, teacher leaders, and administrators through the Simply Coaching Summit, trademarked, and the Instructional Coaching Accelerator, trademarked, providing a wealth of resources for those passionate about improving education. Let me say this to somebody. I got to stop your bio for a second, Nicole. I said trademark twice. Some of y'all putting out, and it might not be someone on the thread, just I'm speaking generically. Some of y'all might be putting out some stuff that's so innovative, and it came out of your own creativity and your own imagination, and you're putting it out there for somebody to steal it, right? I mean, of course, you're putting the information out to benefit people, but if you created it, folks got to know that. I put out a YouTube series called Message to Your Son many years ago. It's still there. I haven't talked about it on this platform ever, but it's there. I got that title copyrighted, man. Can nobody use the words message to your son, right, legally on YouTube? Because I own it. It's mine. But see, you got to make sure that you protect what you put out there, right? So let's go back to the bio. I just threw that in there. With 19 years of experience in education, Nicole has worn many hats, from classroom teacher to leadership roles, including building and district level instructional coach, and Indiana Department of Education school improvement and turnaround specialist. She excels at creating supportive environments for coaching, helping principals with and without coaching backgrounds and guiding coaches to enhance teacher performance and classroom success. Nicole has made a significant impact through her workshops, coaching sessions, and speaking engagements, reaching thousands of educators across the country. Thousands of educators across the country. Her commitment to education is also reflected in her active membership in several professional organizations, such as Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, National Sorority of Phi Alpha Kappa Sorority Incorporated. Did I mess that up? Yeah, I messed that up. Let's do that. National Sorority of Phi Delta Kappa, which they have always been good to me over here in the Jersey area. Indiana State Teacher Association, Indiana State Reading Association, and the Indiana Council of Teachers of Mathematics. I guess you can guess what state she's from. As an author, Nicole has shared her insights and experiences in 2 published books with Solution Tree Press: Simply Instructional Coaching, Questions Asked and Answered from the Field, and Simply Instructional Coaching Planner. She has also published the Simple Blueprint, for which is SIMPLE acronym, for instructional coaching workbook, trademark, which offers practical advice for instructional coaches. So she's got some great information out there. If you got a secondary devices, go ahead over there to Amazon and get them all. Outside of her professional life, Nicole enjoys spending time with her family, which includes her husband, 3 biological children, and 3 bonus children. Their support and love fuel her passion for education. Nicole S. Turner is dedicated to making a real-life difference in education, focusing on practical support and community building for educators. That's phenomenal. You've put in a lot of work, and you still got so much building that I know you're going to do. So folks, I'm ready. We're gonna get into it. I got a long agenda, y'all. Hey, y'all, hang out with me for a while. Hang out with us. Hit the share button, hit the retweet, hit the repost, tag somebody, tag them Facebook groups. Let somebody know that we are here. But as I was reminded last week, everybody hit that like button for me, even if you hate it. Like it anyway, right? Hit the like because if you hate it, like let's say you hate it, right? Well, then you probably got hater friends, right? So go ahead and hate it. So that your hater friends will see it and y'all can hate together, right? Now you know I'm being facetious, but when you hit that like button, it gets them, it stimulates them algorithms, right? It gets them going, and that's how this whole social media madness works, right? It's all algorithm driven, right? I ordered some sneakers the other day, so what am I seeing on the internet every day now? I'm seeing sneakers, right? I ordered a watch. I got a new watch. It's sitting over there. I don't wear it when I do the broadcast. What am I seeing on the internet every day? Watch advertisements, right? I bought some Knicks tickets. I'm going to Game 7 tomorrow, y'all. Yeah, Knicks. I'm going to Game 7. I'm going to be in the building, right? So now on the internet, against your Pacers, by the way, and we will beat them in Game 7 in Madison Square Garden. Trust me, right? So now I'm getting all these Nick ads all over my internet, right? So all over my page, all over the websites I visit. So algorithms, y'all, algorithms. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Right. All right, here we go. Hey, Nicole, as I said, I refer to you as the instructional coaching guru, which I stand on. That's who you are. Most of us in the speaker / consulting business industry, we don't speak to everything that's within the industry. We speak to those areas of specialization. So you have an area of specialization of instructional coaching. It doesn't mean that that's all you know. It's just that that's your area of specialization. That is your brand. That is what you're associated with. When people think of Nicole Turner, they think instructional coaching. When people think of instructional coaching, they think Nicole Turner. So my question to you, why are you so passionate about instructional coaching? What is that?
So it was a position that I was thrown into. I was a teacher. I became a teacher back when it was a surplus, so completely different than what it is now. And I got riffed every year. I'm originally from Gary, Indiana, so if anyone knows Michael Jackson land. But I was in Gary. I was living there with my children, and I got riffed, and I ended up moving to Indianapolis because it was, better opportunities. Got here, got into Indianapolis public schools, and I got riffed. the first 2 years I was here, they put us in a room, they kind of got us all together. And we were this cadre of teachers that basically we were paid subs, right? Like licensed subs. We would go and relieve people. And I got a call to come downtown and have a conversation with a lady I had never knew. I didn't know who she was. It had been in the district, I guess, a couple of years, and called me down. We had a conversation, and she said, "Nicole, you are going to be a differentiated accountability coach." After she asked me about 4 questions, I was like, "What is that?"
Mm.
I was completely confused. So I go down. I was just happy to get out of being a glorified sub, right? Because I wanted to actually be in a classroom. I was still super passionate about teaching. I was about maybe my 5th or 6th year. So I was like, no, I want to be in a classroom. I want to teach, And they were like, no, you were really good in the classroom. We want you to support teachers, go into this position. And I was like, okay, cool. So went to the building, and my principal I was like, well, what do I do? And she was like, go in this room. This is where you're supposed to be, but you got morning arrival duty, lunch duty, dismissal duty. That's all I know.
Mm.
Like, well, okay.
Yeah.
She said someone from downtown will be here to help you. So a district coach came, and he was just telling me, okay, so what you need to do is you need to go to the teachers every Friday, pick up the students' test, and you need to enter their answers into a spreadsheet, and then make teachers better. And I was like, what is that? Like, I
Yeah.
have no idea what does that mean, right? And so of course I go to Google University, right? So I'm like Googling, and I'm looking for books, and I'm looking for resources. And that year was horrible for me, but that building grew. They put in some really good work. They put in a lot. I learned a lot from instruction and from the principal, but the principal and I didn't have a relationship. We didn't have a vision for what I was supposed to do. I just kind of showed up and kind of went and did a little bit of things that was just out there. So that's kind of how the instructional coaching thing started for me. And it was a rocky road, right, for a couple of years. And then I went and moved into assistant principalship. And I took that role, and a dean, and some administration roles. I knew what instructional coaching was supposed to be, kind of, and I started to make relationships with others, with my instructional coaches, and I kind of coached them on how to be a coach. So that's kind of how me coaching people or coaching coaches kind of came about a little bit. And in that assistant principalship, I was supposed to move into a principal role, but I was a single mom at that time, and I had 3 babies. And I was there at my office, doing testing, and it was midnight, and my babies were all asleep on the floor in my office on sleeping bags. And at
Mm.
that particular moment, I felt as though I was not reaching that instructional piece as a leader. I was doing more compliance work, right?
Mm.
That operations type work.
Mm.
And so I left that position and went back to a coaching position, and I loved it. That was just where I knew, and we talk about gifts, that was a gift from literally from God for me to be able to coach and talk to people. And a lot of people say I can take a bigger concept and break it down and make it make sense. And so at that particular point, I knew that that was my gift. And so I needed to start to live in that gift. And so I knew that the principalship was not for me because I wasn't about that compliance piece. I was more about that instructional piece. And so I love to partner. I had 2 amazing principals, my last 2 principals that I partnered with, and we were able to allow me to support them in that instructional piece while they were working very hard on that operational piece. And together as that team, we were able to move our buildings. And so the last 2 buildings that I've worked in, we moved those buildings significantly just based on the simple blueprint that we did. And that was kind of why instructional coaching is just my passion. It's what I'm meant to do.
That's a phenomenal story. And of all you said, the motivator in me, there was something you just said that stood out, and I sat here and wrote it down. You said that was my gift, and I decided to live in my gift. That's a side conversation for the fam, real quick, before we move on. Hey, somebody, I'm talking to you, the fam out there. What you're doing right now, let me look in the camera on this one. What you're doing right now, are you able to call it your gift? Are you at that point yet? You could be very new to it and maybe, nah, not yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. But those of you who've been in it for a little while, are you able to identify it as your gift? Right? Like you've discovered, I have a gift in leadership. I know how to do this at a high level. So is it your gift, and are you walking in it? See? Or is it your gift, but you're not yet walking in the gift? I'm gonna give you an example. This is a tough one to give because I want to be as humble as I can on it. I have a I guess I'm stuttering because I'm trying to be humble. I guess I feel good about the work I do. My ability, particularly my ability to keynote, because that's what I love. I love the big stage, right? But there was a time that I felt that I had a talent in keynoting, but I wasn't walking in it. I just knew that I could speak to an audience, right? So eventually I had to shift my whole life so that ultimately I can walk in it, not just know that I have a talent in it. So I had to have the audacity to make a shift so that I'm both walking in it, that I both realize that I have it, that it's my gift, and I can walk in it for a living, right? So your gift, are you walking in it? So I could pick that apart, dissect it, and talk about certain aspects of leadership, such as the instructional side. You may be an instructional guru, but circumstances on the job are not allowing you to be an instructional guru. You know that it's in you because you know that you know instruction, but circumstances of the job are not allowing you to walk in it. I'm saying to you, and I'm going to shut up, that you must look at that situation, finagle that situation, have the necessary conversations within that situation so that not only that you'll know what you got, but you can walk in it at the same time. That matters, right? So with that said, Nicole, instructional leadership, I should say instructional coaching. What is, give me a nutshell, because we're gonna do a lot of dissecting here, but in a
Mhm.
nutshell, what is instructional coaching versus what is it not?
So, instructional coaching is assisting. How I look at it, there are a lot of different definitions that are out there. Some of the other instructional coaching, um, I call them forefathers, right, who've come before me, have given great and excellent definitions. But for my definition, is really a person who helps the teacher become who they should be in the classroom, right? They bring the best out in them, in that particular teacher. I believe, I solely believe that we do not, or we should not create Stepford wives. Like, this is not what we're doing. Like, just because I was great in the classroom as a teacher doesn't mean that what happened and what I did is specifically what this teacher should do, right?
Woo!
So we're not replicating ourselves and others. The goal is to help that teacher become the best teacher that they can be, and use their gifts, their talents, and what they want to do and how they create that culture and climate in their classroom. Because ultimately, that is what leads to success for our students. And so we have to build that capacity, and that efficacy within those teachers. And so that's what instructional coaching is. What is not is dictatorship. It's
Mm.
not go in and, this is the way that you're going to do it. This is how it needs to be done. It's none of that. It is none of those things. And it's not a checklist. It's not any of that. It's really about the empowerment of a teacher, and really taking their strengths, looking at their weaknesses, and then helping them support to create the best learning environment, so that those babies can succeed. And so that is what I truly believe that instructional coaching is.
I love it. I'm sitting here right now looking for a chapter title. I don't know this book the way I will know it, but here it is. This chapter, and I'm gonna give y'all this is a sneak peek, y'all, based on what you just said, Nicole. Chapter 8 is entitled "There Must Be More to Me Now Than Who I Was Then." Right? And then the question
Mhm.
becomes, what do I know? I broke this up into chapters and strands. So this strand is, what do I know about excellent pedagogy beyond who I was as a teacher? And that's what you just spoke to. Imagine that I'm this extraordinary teacher, but the only skill set that I have in terms of coaching is what I did. Right? Well, if my personality is dramatically different from you, the teacher I'm coaching, then a
Mhm.
lot of what I did may not transfer to you because you're not who I am underneath this layer of being a teacher.
Yes.
I'm who I am on this platform because of who I am as Baruti Kafele. I'm who I am on them stages. I'm who I am when I was principal. I'm who I was as teacher because of who Baruti Kafele is versus
Yes.
teacher Kafele and principal Kafele. So do I have a skill set, a knowledge base that goes beyond who I was when I was teacher? That's what I heard from you. And that matters. And that's why I wrote a whole chapter about it. It
Oh, I
it
can't wait to get to that book.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't wait.
it matters. It matters. I appreciate you. Let's keep going, y'all. So Nicole, this could be a whole lecture. Does every teacher in the building require an instructional coach?
Yes.
Break that down. Break that down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I always ask teachers this. If we went into the classroom, right? We got 25, 30 kids in our class. And we walk into our classroom and we say, okay, you 15, I'm going to teach. You 15, you're on your own. And that's the end of it. We all be fired,
Yeah.
right? Go into a classroom and you support your high performing students, you support your students that are on level, and you support and teach your students that are below grade level. Why do we think that the only thing instructional coaches should be working with is a new teacher or an uncertified teacher or a struggling teacher? Every single teacher in that building should have a growth mindset because we're teaching students. And so everyone should have something to grow. And so if you have an authentic professional learning community, which we need to shift the definition and actually learn what it is, because I go into a lot of schools and they're like, oh, PLCs, and PLCs are not meetings. PLCs is the building. That's the professional learning community. And if we've created a professional learning community, that means that we are all learning and we're all growing, correct? And so that way, every single teacher is going to get some type of coaching. Now, what does that look like? It all looks different. For me, it starts with coaching in a team or coaching those collaborative teams. And while you are working with those collaborative teams, you then see those teachers that need that individual support. And then you break out and then you support those individual teachers as well. So, all about that differentiation. I always tell coaches that they have to think about their building as their classroom, their teachers as their classroom. What you would do to support those teachers, those students, to help them to grow is the same as you think in your thought process that you are going to support your teachers to grow. And especially in this moment, because we have teacher burnout, right? We have a ton of uncertified teachers that are just coming in, just bodies. We have a lot of missing teachers. We have teachers leaving the field in droves. At this particular moment, it is important for us to build that efficacy, to build that support, to create that professional learning community for each of those teachers in every one of those buildings. And so that's the shift, the mind shift that we all have to create, and especially in education, somewhere, somehow, there has been a negative connotation among instructional coaches, and that working with a coach is a punitive action. And it's not, because working with a small group of students that are below grade level or a small group of students that are above grade level is not punitive. So why are we treating this as a punitive action when it really is a coaching support? When it really is an action to make sure that those babies get what they need in each one of those classrooms. Because we have to look beyond our ego, right? And what it is, and we have to go past that and be able to do what needs to be done for those babies.
That's powerful stuff. So PLC. Let's reiterate here. PLC is not a meeting. PLC
Right.
is who you are. You're a
Yes.
professional learning community. Can't lose sight of that. It's so significant because it changes the whole trajectory, right? The language,
Yep.
right? So I want to give you this scenario, Nicole. I've shared this on this platform recently, but I want to, there are always different people on, and I want to share it with you. It's a Saturday afternoon, and your favorite football team, college, has a game. It's game day. And let me just clear my screen so I can get a bigger picture here. So it's game day. So before the team marches out onto the field to play, the coach has that final message. The head coach has that final message. Could be rah rah, could be very subtle. And everything in between, right? But that final message. And then as he closes the message, he says, "Let's go out there and win." And then the team, yeah. And then as they're getting ready to go out there, he says, "Hold on, one more thing. If you need me or my assistant coaches, we'll be here in the locker room. Just come on in and talk to us. Go on out there and get that W." And then they go on out there and they play the game. First half, no coaches. Second half, no coaches. They get beat badly. My question to you, first, my thought to you in terms of bringing this to closure. You had a team that went out, that the intentions were good. The coach said, "Let's win." And coach gave them that talk when they were in the locker room. But now they're on the field and they're competing, but there's no coaching within their reality. My analogy that I'm drawing is that this reminds me of those schools where every day, for me, 180 days is the number of days in school in Jersey. 180 days of school. And there are teachers who will admit that they've gone 180 days and have never been coached. But yet we expect them to compete at a high level. We expect them to win. I don't want to say the Super Bowl because I use a college analogy. So the NCAA championship at a high level, but they weren't coached through the process. What is your feeling about teachers being in buildings on game day, playing the game with no coaches on the sidelines coaching?
So my thoughts on that, the first thing that came to me was that the coaches are in the locker room and they can't provide feedback or a different perspective because the team is on the field, right? They can't see what else is happening around them, right? Even though they have the game strategy, the plan, the plays, right? They have those, they know what the plays are. But they don't know what else is happening when they're implementing them. And so that's the perspective of a coach. A coach can come in and they give a different perspective. They're able to see what's happening around and what's happening in the classroom, and then they're able to provide that support and that perspective, and give them a way, or a, how do I say, have them to gain that knowledge of what they can't see, that blind spot.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, we know that instructional coaches are having that position, and a lot of principals and the APs may not have that as a line item, and they don't have the opportunity to be able to pay for that position. But even if you do not have a coach, as an administrator, you need to adopt the model of I coach before I evaluate. Okay. And that's two different things. Coaching is a way in which you assist to get better. Evaluating is a way to look and see what is happening.
Mm.
And so those are the two different ways of feedback. So when we go in and we do an evaluation, we're evaluating whether or not the teacher has improved upon the things that we supported them in getting there. And so if we start to look at it in that perspective, then, you know, even if you don't have a coach, you can bring that instructional leadership part, that coaching piece into what it is that you're doing. And that's when I work with principals who don't have, I call it administrators as a coach, right? I do that session at a lot of the different conferences that I speak at. And that's one of the sessions of, even if you don't have a coach, you should coach before you evaluate. I always, when I was assistant principal and I used to do my evaluations, I always said, and I live on this now, that I cannot evaluate anyone or hold them accountable to something that I didn't teach them. We always assume that that people know, but if we don't teach them, then we don't know that they know. Right. And I can't hold you accountable for that. It's just like when we're in the classroom, right? In the 7th grade, students should know that by the bell ring, they should be sitting down in the seat, right?
Mm.
They should know that. But that doesn't mean that I don't tell them that. Right? When my 7th graders walk in, I say, hey, you in the seat, you in the bell. But by the bell, you're in my seat. You know, you still tell them that. And so those are things that you're still going to tell and support and let teachers know. And then you can evaluate them on that. And so I look at that team of the coaching being absent or they being away as them not getting that additional perspective, them not being able to grow from that, because you can't grow alone,
Yeah.
right? You can't grow alone, because then you're only talking to yourself and you're only thinking to yourself. That's the point of that coaching, to get that different outside perspective so that you can grow. And administrators, you can absolutely coach your teachers before you get to that evaluation piece. Now, what's going to be the next thing, Principal Kafele? I don't have time. I
Yeah.
don't have time to do that, right? Because I'm dealing with behaviors, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that. Listen, I totally get it, but that's when you have to start to utilize time blocking. And you have to start to use protected time. As
Mm.
instructional coaches, I tell them when they meet with their principal and they set that vision of what the coaching program in that building looks like, they have to discuss protected time. That is the time that they are working with those teachers. As an administrator, you have to create some protected time within your schedule to say, hey, this is the time that I'm working with teachers. If the building is not on fire, and people and kids are not bleeding and dying, I'm in this classroom looking at this teacher and giving some feedback so that they can grow, because ultimately that's how those babies are going to grow. And so you have to just put it as a priority, even if it's 2 days a week. Now, I'm not saying every single day, all day. You have to just make it a priority. Start small and then grow from that throughout the year. And once people understand that you have protected time, they'll start to respect that. And so they'll say, oh, you know what, Miss Turner, she's in the classrooms right now. How can I help you? The secretary will jump in. The behavior specialist will jump in. You know, everyone will start to jump in because they know that that is a priority. And so they will start to respect that protected time. And it's all about that culture. You know, once you start to build the culture of coaching within your building, it becomes an expectation of everyone. Now, are there going to be some outliers? Absolutely. But then I also tell those outliers, if this isn't the ship that's made for you, then you need to find another ship.
Mm.
Because in this building, we are going to coach, we are going to grow, we're going to grow our children, we are going to change the culture that we all should be able to grow. And that is where it's important for administrators to understand they can't be in the locker room. And coaches can't be in the locker room. They have to be in the classroom supporting teachers, not evaluating teachers, but supporting teachers and growing teachers. Just like if we were in the classroom, we are in the classroom supporting our students and growing our students and teaching our students.
I love it. And as you were speaking, the comments were just flying, but there was this one I just wanted to highlight for you. Maria Wiggins said, I can definitely feel that coaching is her gift. It is heard in every word she is expressing. That's a powerful
Thank
comment.
you, Maria. Thank you.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Nicole, we our first time together on this platform was 30 weeks ago. It was the let me get rid of that. It was the week number 182. 82. And since then, I've had a few opportunities to be in spaces where it was just instructional coaches. And it was interesting because I went in there with a topic, and I got two occasions in my mind. And I went in there with a breakout session topic, and I never got to it because in a breakout session, I want that floor to be wide open. So I want the attendees to have opportunity to engage me as I engage them. And a lot of times in those sessions, everyone in the room's got questions about a variety of different things. So I made a mental note of a lot of their concerns, and then I wrote them, and I wanted to share some of them with you, and I wanted to get your thoughts. So these bullet points here. First, in unionized districts, and I make that distinction as it relates to instructional coaching because sometimes the dynamic is different when I'm either in a union and in the same bargaining unit with you versus we're not a unionized district, and therefore there is no bargaining unit, right? So with that, first one, some of the teachers don't respect. So this is what the folks are saying to me. So I wrote it that way. Some of the teachers don't respect us in this capacity because they see us as peers within the same bargaining unit, right? So why do I need to be coached by a peer who appears in who's in the same bargaining unit with me versus an administrator? What is your response to that?
My response is that's crazy.
But it's
For
real,
someone to
right?
even say that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're on the same contract. Yes, coaches are normally on teacher contracts, and that is specifically because I don't evaluate you, right? I don't have anything to do with your money. And I tell coaches that all the time. Like, evaluation is always about their money, right? And how they keep their jobs. My job is to help you to get great by the time the evaluation comes, right? So I'm helping you grow. Um, I think that it's silly for you to think that you can't learn from your peers. We all have different experiences and we all have different perspectives. If you walk through a building and you visit 10 classrooms, each one of those classrooms within the same building will have a different climate and a different culture because that's a different teacher. And so you get to learn from each other. Even if you're sitting in your collaborative team meetings, and when you're sitting in those collaborative team meetings, I could probably talk about a strategy that I learned from YouTube or a strategy that I learned from when I was at my son's school visiting, right? And then you go in and then we have those conversations, right? And then you learn something from me. Just this past week, I was in Columbus. I spent 3 days in Columbus at a school working with the instructional coach and the principal. And in that, the instructional coach had to take the district coaching meeting. And I'm sitting in there and I'm listening. and I'm learning. They're talking about AI and coaching, and they're talking about different strategies, and they're talking about, I'm taking notes. Like I've never did this before, right? 10, 15 years of coaching, and I'm still taking notes and learning. So to think that you can't learn is a fixed mindset. And it doesn't matter if an administrator tells you to do something, or if a coach supports you, or another teacher shares an idea of support. You should be able to have the mindset of growth, that you can learn from each other, regardless to what contract we're signing. Because the funny thing is that I can go right now and go get an administrative position, or I can go and get a coaching position in a building. I'm still the same person. I'm still gonna give you the same feedback, right? So that's the it doesn't matter what contract I sign. I'm still gonna be the person that can give you some feedback for growth.
Love it. The second one, and I'm only sharing two as it relates to a unionized district. Um, we lack real authority because we are not administrators.
Yep, that's true. That's true. But here's the thing. That's not a coaching issue or a union issue. That's a leadership and culture issue.
There you go.
And so the leader of the building needs to tell everyone, or lead with, this is a professional learning community and we have a culture of coaching. Everyone in this building is going to grow. If I stand in front of my staff and I say that to them, every single staff meeting, if every single reply is, hey, I want you to talk to Nicole because she really has some ideas about this, or hey, in your collaborative team meeting, why don't you guys discuss this? Or hey, if the leader is constantly saying and reiterating that this is a professional learning community and that we are in a culture of coaching, then that starts to take away some of that, some of that I need authority to tell someone how to get better, because that's, to support someone in growth does not take a administrative license. And so again, going back to that original point that I said, that we have that negative connotation and that coaching is punitive, right? Of what coaching is that's the shift that we have to do. And that comes from the leadership in the building.
Love it. And I thought I'd put this up here. 3 books just purchased, meaning yours. This is what I have been looking for. You know, Nicole, I have, before I go to the next one, I have Simply Instructional Coaching, the one with the black cover. I
Mhm.
can't put my hands on it. It's somewhere in this house. The only one I could put
It's
my
okay.
hands on.
Here it is.
Yeah, I know you got it. Put that closer to the screen for 'em. There you go. Simply Instructional Coaching. That's like the instructional coaching Bible, y'all. That's you got to get that book, because you're only going to get a smidgen on this platform, on this broadcast. And then you couple it with this one, and then there's the other one. But the blueprint, there's a lot of great information in here. You got to get all 3 books though. Go to Amazon. We got the guru in the building. So now the rest of these are not union related, just whomever.
Mhm.
Saying to me, some of the teachers don't feel we are needed, right?
Mhm.
And that could be anybody, but just, I want to collaborate with this teacher, that teacher, but they don't feel that our role is a necessary role in their space. What are your thoughts?
Back to culture. Everything that is all about the culture. Of course, they don't feel like they need it because they're not in a professional learning community of growth. So they think that they have gotten to the top. It's kind of like that teacher that's been teaching for like 30 and 40 years, and they're still doing the exact same worksheets that they did back in the day, because the content didn't change, but the way in which we deliver content to these students these days is completely different. And so sometimes we as teachers can get stuck in that same role of doing the exact same thing. Like, girl, I got my lesson plans from 2 years ago and I'm gonna keep on going. Yeah, well, you have your unit plans, but every single classroom that you teach should be different. The same, you cannot use the exact same lesson plan from last school year for this school year. Now, the concept is the same, and maybe even the strategy may be the same, but you may need to break that down a little bit. You may have a class that's lower, you may have a class that's higher, You have to think about ways that you're going to teach. And so sometimes we get stuck in like, I already know what I'm doing. What can you teach me? And that goes back to us being able to have that growth mindset and creating that culture where everyone knows the expectation is for us to all grow. We should not at any point, just like a student, I say that I think about this. If a student comes into your classroom on day one and they leave on day 180 the exact same way, there's a problem. If a teacher comes in your building on day one and they leave on day 190, because here in Indiana it's 190 days that teachers leave, work on contracts, then that's a problem. And so we need to start to shift that mindset and shift that culture. And then it will make it so much easier for the instructional coach to do their role if the building culture is set that we're all getting coached. And that goes to the simple blueprint. And so the book that you have, the simple blueprint, is being rewritten. I just formulated, and I talked to Principal Kafela earlier just about how I've worked with 45 schools across the country, rural schools, all white schools, our inner city, schools, just all different types of schools across the country. And they've all implemented the simple blueprint, and they all gave me feedback based on that, because I have really only had experience in urban education. I've only taught in low performing schools, like across the board. That was me. But I wanted to know what happens in some of those more affluent schools when they, implement coaching. And I wanted that feedback. And so we kind of made some shifts in the simple blueprint. And so the second edition is coming out this year. And so we've adjusted. And so the SIM, it still stands for basically the same thing in a PLE, but the SIM is the principal and coach collaboration. That's the foundation. And what I've also learned is that every single building, even within the same district, must create their own coaching program, their own coaching plan, because it is a response to what is happening in that building, right? And so it can't look the same. It's not cookie cutter. It can't look the same. So the principal and coach, or the leadership team and the instructional coach, needs to sit down and set a vision for specifically what the coach is going to do, not going to do, getting that clarity in the role, how to do those protected times, how the principal will support the coach, how they are going to set the culture of the coaching. All of that happens in your set the vision. And then for I, which is introducing instructional coaching, how do you introduce that culture in the building? It can't be a coach by themselves. They can't just walk through the building like, I'm the coach. I'm the coach. No, it has to come from leadership as well as that. And those two together, then you have to measure the impact. Your instructional coaching program and goals should be connected to, guess what? Your school improvement plan. We spend hours at the beginning of the year with all this data, all these people, and we write that SIP plan and then we ship it out to the state. And that's it. No one ever looks at it again. But it's truly right, but it's truly your document of improvement. And so why not create your coaching program and your culture and your building around improvement and set those goals? And we all now know the why behind the coaching program. And so that is the important part. So that's the set the vision, introduce it to the staff and create the culture of coaching and, start to transform that culture. And then you have to measure that through utilizing your school improvement plans and, all of those different things, because that's important.
Let's stay on that, what you said about the school improvement plan for a second. You said it with passion. You said it's your document of school improvement. Now, having been a principal for as long as I was, 14 years, I know how overwhelming putting together that plan with the team can be. I get it, right?
Yep.
I know that it feels like a compliance measure at times. I get that as well. However, and this is a big however rooted in what you just said, Imagine when, yeah, we feel overwhelmed and inundated by the fact that we've got this very lengthy plan to write. But what if we took that plan beyond just compliance, sending it off to the state, and then we wash our hands of it? But what if there was actually great information in there?
Mhm.
What if it was reflective of actual great planning for who it is we're going to become? And in regards to what you said, the culture of the building,
Mhm.
because I'm with you 1,000%. In fact, everything you said, this is what I talk about in this book from a leadership standpoint. If there's no culture for instructional leadership, if there's no culture for instructional coaching, then we're essentially wasting our time. It's an exercise in futility because there's no culture to support it. So therefore, it's easy for a teacher to have the mindset that I don't need this. And the second one that kind of goes, it dovetails with it, is the teachers, the coaches that say some teachers don't want to be bothered with it, right? So
Mhm.
a teacher, depending on the personality of the teacher, a teacher conceivably could tell a coach, I don't want to be bothered, right?
Mhm.
That's not beyond the realm of comprehension, right? So
Mhm.
now because of that kind of a culture in the building, that teacher will go to that coach, yo, I don't want to be bothered with this. Leave me alone,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And now it puts the coach in a situation where I don't know how to approach this person now. And now if I do, and now I got spam on the page, and oh my God, I got to use my phone to get this. But anyway, so now it's a very tense situation, and it's very difficult for those two to be able to collaborate because that teacher has told the person exactly how they feel because there's no culture to preclude that teacher from coming across that way. So
Mhm.
that word culture, and I guess I got just as passionate as you did. That word culture is so instrumental in instructional leadership being able to work for us. So let me go to this next one so that I can, or if you wanted to chime in on that, feel free so that I can get rid of this spam on my page. I talked to StreamYard. I said, y'all used to make it real easy to get rid of this stuff, and now it's not anymore. Let me go to this next one. Some of the teachers feel that the coaches, that we, the coaches, don't have anything substantive to contribute to their practice in the classroom. I'm hearing that in breakout sessions.
Mhm.
What's your response to that?
So it does come off that way when there is no direction for coaching. And so what I did was I created something called the Simple Core Four. So the Simple Blueprint is the framework. It's the way in which how to coach, how to build the culture, how to collaborate with the principal, and then how to coach. So those coaching strategies. The Simple Core Four is the best practices, just basic things that coaches should be working with teachers on. Now there is we have Jim Knight, who is one of the forefathers of instructional coaching, and many people know him. And he created a lot of things in his
I'm here.
seven. Ooh, oh, okay.
I'm here.
in his in one of his books, one of his principles, one of them is teacher autonomy, right? And so I truly believe that teachers should have autonomy of what it is that they want to work on in coaching. Like that's important. I do believe that. However, I've taken that to the next level because I worked in a school where I had teachers who didn't know what it is that they didn't know. There were a lot of uncertified teachers. There was a lot of teachers that just couldn't tell me what it is that they needed. And so, as a coach, I had to come in with ideas. And so, the Simple Core Four are those basic things that you probably wouldn't know about or wouldn't talk about, or they don't teach inside the university classes, but we talk about it in the stages of beginning with organization and really talking about organization, management, and culture. So, how do we create classroom management strategies and implement that? And then, how do we create a culture in our classroom of learning? And then, content. How do we support teachers in mastering their content, not just showing up and teaching to fidelity? which means just reading off the page, but how do they really and truly understand the skills and the subset skills and foundational pieces that those students need in that particular classroom. And then after we plan that out and understand planning and understand those contents, then we move to that instructional execution. So a lot of those things need to happen before we even get to teaching, right? And so organization is the basic things, right? Kind of like how you going to talk to your parents. I've worked with a lot of teachers that are, there are some teachers that can call home when it's great and scared to call home when it's not. And there's some teachers, they only call home when it's negative and never call home when it's positive. So what's your plan for communicating with your parents? Like that's the first thing I'm gonna ask a teacher. Teacher could have been teaching forever. I'm still gonna ask them that question, right? That's one. Another thing under the organizational piece is kind of like, how are you setting expectations for students? Also, the logistics of how students move throughout the classroom. That's something that is so simple, but that sets the stage and the foundation for classroom management. Just think about when you have, what happened is that I was working with a teacher, she was teaching second grade. And here in Indiana, they wear the big coats like they do in Jersey, they little 7-year-olds, and they got on big, gigantic coats and boots and hats and everything. And so it's snowing, and the teacher's like, it's taking me 30 or 40 minutes to get them to the rug. And I'm like, why? So I go in and I do my snapshot, and I kind of look to see what snapshot of what's happening. And then I have a conversation. I said, you know what? I said, why don't we create zones in the classroom? And she was like, well, what is that? And I'm like, oh, let me kind of explain it. And I asked her, is this something she wanted to try? And she was like, yeah, let's go ahead and try that. And so what we did is we created like a purple zone, a yellow zone, red zone. And so the kids were then split into the different zones. So as they started to flock into the classroom, the kids all had different patterns that they followed in the classroom. So one may come in, put their coats up, but one may just put their coat at their desk, but then go to the sensory bin, but then come back over here and then come back over here, right? And so in 15 to 20 minutes, they've hit all their 5 stations and they're at the carpet, right? And so that is, we now have them for 15 minutes, but that's something that you're not getting in the university classroom. And that's just a basic thing that happens that makes the changes happens, right? So looking at that, also looking at just how we respond to students, setting those expectations together. And I always I love to do social contracts when we set our classroom expectations. I love for even the little kindergartners, and they sign their little scribble, on there, because then we get to say, hey, John, do you remember when we all sat together and we decided that this is what was going to create an environment and a culture in our classroom that was fun and that we could learn, but you agreed to this, but you're not following this. And the little kindergartner's like, okay, Miss Turner, okay, but I'm holding them to their word, right? It also gives me that leverage for my older kids, because one thing I don't do is I don't argue with kids. And these kids these days, they always got an opinion. And I'm like, I don't really care. Like, because you signed this, right? So you signed this, you signed your name, your word is bond, right? And so that's it. We're going to follow it. And you know what's funny? Is that your challenge students, they'll be the first ones to tell you all the rules. All the rules. They know the rules. They know the expectations in the building, right? And so they'll be able to tell that. So I work with those teachers on creating those foundational pieces. That is what's missing with teachers feeling as though the coach doesn't bring anything to the table because they don't have anything to follow on, especially when the coach is the person who is coming in and saying, hey, what would you like to work on today? What would you like to work on? What do you think? And the teacher's like, I got 70% of my kids to pass. Girl, you need to get up out of here, right? They feeling all good. Or I got 80% on my NWEA, hit my MAP scores. So I don't have nothing from you, right? But if you sit down and you go through the simple core 4, it literally will help you to start to have those conversations and start to build out and create that efficacy and build with the teacher. And so that's what that's missing. And that's why that question or that comment was said.
You said a lot there. Now, there's some others that you addressed. I don't need to. We don't need to expound on all of them, but I just want to list them. I just want to state them. Some of the teachers feel that our presence in their classrooms is an intrusion or even a distraction. I'll just leave that as the comment that I read. Some of the teachers feel that meeting with us is a waste of time. Some of the teachers feel that since administration isn't in their rooms, why should we be in them? This one I wanted to talk about. Some of the teachers can be disrespectful. If I'm and I want to talk about that because of the volume of younger administrators that tune into this platform. That's younger and aspiring administrators. So I'm administrator. I'm new AP, or I'm new principal, and I'm trying to figure this thing out called leadership. And I've got an instructional coach on my staff who's been disrespected to the extent that the teacher just doesn't want to be bothered. What are your thoughts on what my intervention would be as leader to help facilitate the process of the instructional coach so that ultimately those children can benefit from the coaching when this is a very tense, tension-filled situation?
Well, a couple of things, couple of thoughts. One, I have conversations with coaches all the time, and one of the things that I tell them is that you teach people how to treat you. So that's number one. You have to make sure that they understand they can't disrespect you. And it's kind of like the classroom management thing. Like, I don't model classroom management strategies for teachers. I support them in implementation. And the
Mhm.
reason being is because if the teacher has already lost their, if they've lost the power, and I come in and I model a classroom strategy, then what's happening? The students are going to follow me, but they're never going to attach that strategy to the teacher, right?
Mhm.
And so, as a leader, my very first thing is to then have a conversation with the instructional coach and say, okay, you have to teach people how to respect you. What are your thoughts? What are your next steps? And I'm going to coach that coach on how to create the next steps. Then I'm going to kind of step back from that. The next part is that I would reiterate to all teachers about the culture, right? Because we're shifting the culture. And then third, I will have a conversation with the teacher to just get a sense of kind of why they feel as though coaching is not important to them when coaching is a part of our culture. So it wouldn't be a direct, like, well, I hear that you are disrespecting our coach. It would be more around, let's have a conversation around me creating a culture of coaching in the building, and I would love to get your feedback.
Love it. Love it. And
So and it doesn't put the coach in the tattletale,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, like, for me, I would be strategic as a leader and say, you know what? I'm going to get 5 teachers and I'm going to ask them feedback on us creating our culture. And that one teacher would be one of those 5, right? And have that kind of conversation. And when she brings things up or says different things, like, I would strategically talk about, disrespect and why we have this and all of those types of things. But I could not just go and say, well, I had a meeting with Miss Johnson, and Miss Johnson told me that you was disrespecting her. Like, you can't do that. It becomes then messy. And you put the coach in a very a bad predicament, because then now that word spreads. Because if that teacher is disrespectful, that's the cancer, right? That's probably in your building, and they keep it going. They stir the pot, and so you have to be strategic with that
Okay.
component.
One of the things that I heard loud and clear in your explanation was the need for people skills, the need for communication skills, the need for empathy and understanding, right? So that as you said, I don't put this coach in a bad light, relative to the communication that has transpired between the coach and administration. But there's a comment on here this very interesting for me. I wanted to put it up here before I proceed. And we still gonna cover your talking points, right? Hey folks, we got a lot to talk about today. Don't go nowhere. Just stay here with us, right? We giving you all this free game, man. You kidding me? man, this the place to be right here. And I'm gonna say that I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna be sensitive on how I say it. Nicole is a professional consultant. That means she does this for a living, just like I'm a professional consultant. We get paid to do this work, right? But
Yeah.
on Saturday morning, we giving it to you. All you gotta do is sit here and take these notes, baby. That's it. That's it. Hey, Nicole, check this out here. It says Ms. Rissa 31 said some administrators have no idea what we do, the coaches. They have one idea and think we should all be in the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
I think that warrants your response.
Absolutely. That is true. That is definitely true. Then the thing is that a lot of times instructional coaches or they come from the district level. So it comes from, hey, a superintendent, they know that the coaching model works because the coaching model is actually a school improvement strategy. Okay, so that's where it all comes from. And so the superintendent's like, hey, we're going to do instructional coaches. We have this funding, this Title One or whatever kind of funding, ESSER funds, whatever. We're going to create a coaching program, and we're going to put coaches in the district in every building. And the principals are told at a principals meeting. There was no consulting. There was no conversation. There was none of that, right? And so now they just show up in the building. And so they have a vision of what it is that they want a coach to do, which sometimes becomes like their administrator or their assistant principal or something like that. And then the coach is like, they didn't Googled or they didn't attend it like our summit or they got the book or, and then they understand what coaching is. And so now they have two different visions. But that's why that important part of set a vision for the coach, that conversation is important and it's necessary because together you guys have to set the vision. The principal is going to say, hey, I think this is what you should do. And the coach is like, hey, well, here's some documents or here's some information that I found. And these are some things that I think that we should do. And so now we're just having that conversation. Also, one thing I want coaches to understand is that this position is not a position for anyone who's going to back down. You cannot have your ego. You cannot have your sensitive, I don't know, glasses on. Like you can't have any of that. None of this is personal. It's all about what's best for the kids, right? And so you have to, even if your principal is like, no, this is what I want. And it's like, no, this is what is needed. And I want you to see it. And I want to bring a video to show you, like you have to sell it to the principal. They have to understand, and you have to find a way in order to break down that wall between you and your principal so that you can set a vision and get on the same page. Now, if you guys cannot get on the same page, then that may not be the principal that you need to be a coach under. And so you have to realize that and say, hey, this isn't the ship that I need to be on, and I need to go get on another ship. And that's okay. But as long as you guys can set a vision for that coaching and that coaching program and work through that throughout the year, I mean, they're going to be, several times. I have worked with coaches and principals and had to actually be the mediator between them because of egos, because of, well, she went in there and observed before me and I told her that she can only observe after me. And it was just a mess.
Wow.
But the thing is we're not in a power struggle.
Wow.
They're not in struggles. Together, you should be a team supporting teachers' growth so that it can affect our babies. So our babies can grow. And so we have to change the mindset of like, this coach is not coming in, to take my job or they want to be a principal. But guess what? Your coach shouldn't be with you forever, right? Like you want to coach them up. And if their goal and aspirations is to be an administrator, you should coach them and allow them to become that amazing administrator. Because guess what? The seed that you plant in that coach is going to grow in multiple more students across other buildings. And then how many years of students and how many years of teachers will the seed that you sowed, will all those babies reap?
Wow.
So you got to not think about this as a personal standpoint and a struggle, a battle. you really have to start to think about it as being more so of how to affect students long term, and your impact to grow beyond just your building. So for me, that yes, a lot of principals don't know what coaches do. If your principal doesn't, tell them to get in Simply Instructional Coaching. Tell them to join us at the Simply Coaching Summit. Like we have, they could come listen to me talk about administrators as coaches. Like there's a lot of information out there. I have plenty of blogs, all of that, so they can understand what the position is, and then together you guys can set that vision for what that program looks like and how that coach will support.
You know, that was a whole word that you just gave. That's a whole lecture. It's so much in there in the comments that I'm reading. So much appreciated by what you said. This person, Lakita Thomas, said pretty much the same thing. Most principals have no clue. They need a training and see coaches as additional set of hands for operational duties. With that said, and I'm thank you for the reminder. I wish we had jumped on this a little bit earlier. Folks, we're not done. We got a lot to talk about here. So just hang out with us. But Nicole has a summit that she does annually, right? It's a virtual summit. So you don't have to go to the airport on this one. It's a virtual summit that she does annually. I'm one of the speakers this year, and I was a speaker before. Talk to us about the summit and how they can register for the summit.
Oh, sure. So it's www.simplycoachingsummit.com. You can go there. It's our 6th year. We've had over 10,000 administrators and coaches. They come. It's virtual. This year, Principal Kafele is the biggest ever. We
Wow.
have 60 plus videos, 60 plus sessions for principals, for superintendents. We have 2 amazing superintendents. One is the superintendent. She is the leader of the Superintendents Association in Illinois. She'll be speaking, and it's simply coachingsummit.com.
Woo, let's change that.
And so those.
Give me that one more time.
Simply coachingsummit.com.
All right, I got you.
And so those the superintendents will be there to talk about, coaching at the district level. We have some principals like Principal Kafele, Dr. Anthony Muhammad will be there. Of course, Jim Knight will be there, Steve Ventura. And then we have
Principal Rob will be there.
From the
Principal Rob will be there. Amin Rob.
Yes, Principal Rob will be there. Yes, he'll be there. I'm trying to think. It's so many sessions. But we do have a good amount of actual coaches that are still in the field. So I did not want to create a conference of just us people who are consultants. Like I love what I do. I just left, a year, it'll be 2 years, I guess, out of the building. But I wanted people that were in the field that were doing the work to kind of talk about and share some of those different strategies that's utilized, that's happening. So we have principals who are currently principals that are coming to talk about how they're working with their coaches, how coaches are, just period. So the coaching world itself, how to create the culture. And it's going to be 3 days, July 8th, 9th, and 10th. Now, it does coincide with Principal Kafele's
That's all right.
session, but let me tell y'all, y'all can head to Houston, right? Go ahead and hit that because you got 6 months to watch those 60 videos.
Oh,
so
wow.
You can grab your ticket to the summit and you have all the way until January. So you can be at the conference with Principal Kafele, and then you can jump in and get with us on, live on the 10th, or if you're traveling. But all of the live sessions will be uploaded. There is a community pop-up Facebook group that you can, talk to that kind of goes for a couple of months of support. But it is definitely, you have 6 months to watch the videos, record, write down it, record, write it down, take notes, implement, come back, ask questions to the community. So it's really about that, really taking what it is that you learned and actually implementing it. And so that is it in July 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Y'all got to check this out, man. It's a dynamite summit, instructional coaching led by the guru herself, Simply Coaching Summit. Those of you who may be wondering, how am I going to do it? I know she said videos, but some of you that may know my work a little bit more intimately than others, I don't do recordings, man. The only recordings I do is instructional YouTube videos of, how to be a public speaker and best sell. So I'll be live on July 8th. Right. July 8th, I'll be live. I'll probably be down in Houston in a hotel somewhere, and then setting up for the 9th and the 10th. So that's how I'm doing mine. So make sure you get with it. And Maria Wiggins, I think she indicated that she's there every year. Was that Maria? No, that was Miss Rissa. I attend every year, and I love it. Yeah. So good stuff. Good stuff. We're gonna continue with the conversation, y'all. I mean, instructional coaching, instructional leadership, you can't say enough about it. There's just so much there. Let me put that website up again, simplycoachingsummit.com. I got one more for you, and then we'll go to your talking points. We got 5 talking points, folks. Hang in there with us. We're gonna go we'll be a little longer than normal, but that's all right. I'm looking at the numbers. We got a lot of people on here in real time, man. And the real time numbers are 471. But in terms of the numbers of people who've kind of been in and out, it's about 3,000 or 4,000. So we good. Here's the last one, Nicole, and this is interesting. It says it can be challenging to forge relationships with some of the teachers due to their lack of trust of us and the process. These particular teachers feel that we are reporting back to administration on their performance in the classroom. That's a big one.
Yep.
What do you say to our leadership audience listening in terms of how they take that information and ensure that that is not one of their dilemmas?
So one of the biggest things is that when you are in that simple blueprint, that foundational piece, that I introduce instructional coaching. That way it's building that culture of coaching. That's number one. So you want to keep with that, building that culture. Second thing, for administrators, you need to support the coaches in creating those relationships. Now, there are some things. There are some principals that say, you are my eyes and ears and you're going to tell me everything. That's wrong. That is not what it is. I'm not a snitch.
Say that again.
Some principals will say that you are my eyes and ears and you're going to tell me everything. And again, that's wrong. That coaches are not the snitch of the building, right? Now, what I do tell coaches is that I always tell my teachers my coaches to tell their teachers up front. Like, I do meet with our principal every single week, and I tell them who I'm working with and what we're working on. And that's it. Because as an administrator, as the principal, assistant principal, or leadership, you are held responsible for what's happening in the building. So you must know. You must know what's happening. And then the second thing is I like for coaches to make sure that they tell the principal, I'm working with Ms. Jones and we're working on management strategies. Now, just think about if your principal is doing walkthroughs and the first time they see the Ms. Jones classroom is a hot mess express, right? And then 3 weeks later, your principal goes into Ms. Jones's room as they're going to do their required walkthroughs. And then they see how much growth that Ms. Jones is having. Guess what? Your principal now sees the impact of coaching. Number 2, your principal can say praise to the teacher, right? And give praise to say, hey, I have seen your growth over the next 3 years, and I think that your coaching is working, right? Period. Like, that helps to give that positive feedback loop, right? You want the teachers to get in that positive feedback loop. Working together. Now, what I do tell coaches is that you have to tell the principal who you're working with and what you're working with, but you don't have to tell them the intricate details of it. Now, Miss Jones may have her husband left her. She got these 3 kids. She barely making it. She getting to school. She's stressed out. Miss Jones is going to tell the coach that, but the coach does not need to tell the principal, well, Miss Jones' husband left her. That doesn't need to be a conversation, right? Just, I'm working with Ms. Jones and she's doing amazing when it comes to classroom management strategies. We're implementing them, right? And that's it. That's all that the leader should know. And then if I tell the principal that, then it's like, hey, I mean, if I tell the teacher, hey, this is what I tell our principal, these are the reports that I get, I'm just very transparent in getting that conversation and letting them know. Because why? We are a culture of coaching. We are a professional learning community. So if we get that understanding, and then we know that coaching is not a I got you, right? But coaching is a growth model. It's a way, it's a support, it's a way for us to do better. Then there is no problem with me saying I'm working with Ms. Jones on a classroom management strategy, right? That it should be no problem, because my leader is not I got you, and my leader is not trying to get or fire this teacher, or using me to fire that teacher, right? And so that's just the shift. Again, coaching has a negative connotation, and all that has to start with the leadership of helping to shape the culture of coaching in the buildings. It's not going to happen overnight. It is going to, slowly build at the same time. Now, as far as relationships with teachers, when I work in that simple core four, when I work in that organizational piece, that's kind of when I build relationships. I want them to see me as a person. I have 3 children, and I talk about them all the time. So if you ever come to any of my sessions or anything, you'll know everything about Josh and how he was a challenged student, and you'll know about my daughter, and that she's a special education student, and now she's soaring as a straight A biology student, right? In college, and how my youngest son is the baby and my favorite. And I say it all the time to everyone. But I tell that to teachers. I talk to them about, yeah, Josh had a baseball game, or, and then I learned that they had a dog, right? And I learned that they have, 3 kids, or that they're taking care of their mom, or they're doing any of those types of things. Like, I start to learn the person, and that's how we build the relationship, and that's how the trust builds. And also, if the teacher is starting to grow and having some successes with coaching, and the principal validates the success, then they understand the culture of coaching. And so that's kind of a way in which we can battle that negative connotation of coaching, and that I'm a snitch, and that I'm going back to tell everything, and I'm going to do, all of that, because they're living in fear. They're teaching in fear, and no one should come to work in fear, right? And so they need to have that culture where everyone feels supported.
You are so comprehensive, thorough, exhaustive in your responses, meaning that you are so knowledgeable about your craft, about your area of specialty, that I'm finding myself not needing to ask you follow-up questions, because you're just hitting it all. I'm very, from the standpoint of being the host of this platform, I'm sitting here feeling very pleased about about everything you're saying. Cause see, like I tell people all the time, this platform is my baby. There's no work that I do in education that means more to me than what I do on Saturday mornings. As tired as my body should be from the past 24 hours, I couldn't wait to get up this morning for this, because this is what I love. So I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, man, she's covering so much in a short span of time, right?
Mhm.
Given what right? So I just wanted to kind of put that out there for the folks. These are gems, man. These are nuggets coming at you. Because see, this is primarily a leadership audience. Of course, I know that there are instructional coaches watching, because they're supporters of your work. But most of the people who are on here are leaders. And this information that you're receiving is just so invaluable to your leadership, whether you be assistant principal, central office who collaborates
Yes.
with the building level. This is just such great information. And guess what, folks? I'll ask all my guests to send me like 5 bullet points. It's 12:56 Eastern time, meaning we've been on here for 2 hours. I haven't gotten to the bullet points yet. Now I know that some of what she said is overlapped into the bullet points, but let's tackle these bullet points right quick,
Okay.
and we'll see where it goes with time. But y'all tell somebody, like hit somebody up, tag somebody, and or just repost, retweet, whatever it is, and hit that like button once again. Hit the like button, particularly the YouTubers. Hit the like button because that's how you activate them algorithms, right? But I want to take a look at it's just 5 bullet points, and this first one, this is really the one that resonates with me most because of my background as a principal. Clarity. You said clarity between coaches and building principles. What is your message around that?
Yeah, so I've traveled. That was the biggest shift in the simple blueprint. And that's where that SIM, I talked about it a little earlier today, that SIM, that set the vision, introduce instructional coaching to the building, set that culture, and then that measure impact through data. And so what does that look like in aligning that to our school improvement plan? And so that's bringing that clarity. Like when one of the guests said that that the principal doesn't know what it is that I do. And that's exactly right. But having that, setting that vision, that creates that clarity between what the coach is doing, what the coach is not doing, how the principal is going to support the coach's role, how does the coach support the teachers, how they will create their schedule, when do they come, when do they not come, what is that, all of those things, all of those questions are answered in setting that vision and introducing that role, and then how their role is measured through that measure, like what are we doing, surveys, like where is it coming from, to show the impact of my work. And so that's what I mean when I talk about that clarity, between the principal and the coach.
So let me. There's a question here. I just want to make sure that this person knows I'm not ignoring them. Let me put it up here. And Radhika, I think it is. She said, "How do principals change the culture of the building from fearful and intimidating to something positive?" Now, here's the thing, and I'm not going to ask you to tackle that because I think that we could vibe off this to say that this is an entire session, right? We can't give you a sound bite on this. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Radhika. There's no way I can give you a sound bite on this. I can say this is not me promoting a book that I haven't published yet, but it is written. But I will say that from the leadership standpoint, it's in that book that I just wrote. And if you tuned in late, what is my value to the teachers that I supervise instructionally? I spent a lot of time on culture. That book will be out later in 2024. But a lot of my other writings are dealing with culture as well. So if you go to Amazon, put Baruti Kafele in the search engine, and you'll see the books that I've written, because I just can't give you a sound bite and then feel good about myself after I give it to you. Nicole, I don't know if you have any thoughts that you want to give to that, particularly around fearful and intimidating. If so, then feel free to jump in there.
Well, I will just say, I kind of agree with you. That's a whole session within itself
Yeah,
to kind of talk about that. In addition to getting your books, one book that is transformative in some of this work as well, is Dr. Anthony Muhammad's,
sure.
school transforming school culture. And I have, yeah, so that is one of the books that I reference a lot in my new book that's coming out, the Blueprint. But that Dr. Anthony Muhammad's, Transforming School Culture is definitely one of, the books that you need to get. Yep, that's
And
it.
this is the old edition. He has
Yeah,
revised it,
yeah, it's
so
the
it's got a
second one.
reddish color to it, but this is the book. So,
Yeah,
and that's my man, Dr. Anthony Muhammad. He's been on this platform. In fact, you may want to go back and look at that session. It's about 2 years ago that he's been on now, but transforming school culture, definitely. Right. So
yeah.
yeah, so good stuff. Get yourself those books, and we'll keep going. I want to stay on this clarity between coaches and building principles. I see the number. Y'all actually increasing the numbers, so we good. We just about to hit 500 in real time, right? So that means thousands been in here. Folks, I mean, bring it down, Kafele. Nicole, that relationship between the coaches and the building principals. I don't want to necessarily quantify how often we should meet because that's going to vary from school to school. But should we be meeting regularly? And if so, what does that look like? Because I know based on what I shared with you, there are teachers that are concerned that, as you addressed, that the instructional coach is reporting information that could be detrimental to the teacher's evaluation, right?
Yes.
So
Hmm.
it's from strictly from an instructional standpoint,
Hmm.
what might those meetings look like, and how regularly would you feel that we should be meeting with one another?
Yes. So I am going to quantify that for them, and
Okay.
that should be weekly.
Would that
Every
mean
week.
once a week?
Yes, once a week, 45 minutes tops.
Okay.
And so what I did was, and my amazing principal, I think he is on here. My last principal, Dr. Stanley Law, I got to give him a shout out. He's somewhere on there. And we met every Monday for 45 minutes. And so we would go in, we would talk about, hey, what's happening in the building as far as instructional things. If he has some things that is going out there, like what's happening in the building, who am I working with, what am I working on, and he gives me any feedback from any type of walkthroughs that he had to go through. And then from there, we would, and then any task or any activities that were happening in the building that year, that week, then I was tackling. Like if we had a after school night, or if we had a teacher appreciation coming up, we would kind of talk about that. Any of those types of things, those were some of the little small things that we would kind of talk about. So we kept it to what he saw or what some of his concerns were, as he did his walkthroughs, who I was working with, what I was working on, any concerns that I had, and then anything or task that I had to go on as well. So that was pretty much how that 45-minute goes in and out. We did not talk about specifics when it comes to evaluations or anything like that. Also, with Dr. Law and Dr. Billups, she was our assistant principal. Now she's gone on to be an amazing principal at another school here in Indy. Both of them, when they did their walkthroughs, if there was something that they felt specific that the teacher needed to work on directly, then they would send the teacher a feedback email and said, please connect with Nicole on this. And that's how they looped me in to what it is that they saw or any of their concerns. And so it would be like, hey, yeah, I met with Miss Jones and things were amazing. We're working on what you suggested that she work on. And that's kind of what it is that we do. So yes, every single meeting, you have to have a meeting in order to be on one accord, right? You can't be thinking this is happening, that's happening, all of this. To be an instructional leader, and that principal, you have to all understand what's happening in your building and be very knowledgeable about that. And that's great. Now, I do tell teachers, here's only one thing that I will do. If you consistently reject my coaching and things are not changing and or improving, and I feel like it is hindering the education of students, then I am definitely going to have a come to Jesus meeting with my principal about you. And before that I have that meeting, I'm going to tell the teacher. I'm going to say, hey, I've been working with you or tried to work with you for the past 4 weeks. We've set goals. You've not followed through. We did this. I've not seen it. I feel like this is hindering our work or hindering the students' learning. And I feel like they're in jeopardy of not learning. So how do you think I should proceed? And if they can't come up with anything, I said, now this is now out of my hands, and I need to talk to our principal about this because it's affecting our students.
Mhm.
But I say this at the beginning of the year, like when I'm introducing myself to everyone knows that that if it comes to doing something that's not beneficial to our babies, I'm going to step in about it. But then that goes back to me talking about Principal Kafele about making sure that we understand that we are there for our kids and that this is not an ego thing and that you have to be a strong, just, a stronger person. Like, you can't have your sensitive glasses on because it's not personal. It's not that I don't like Miss Jones. Like, I like her as a person, but she's not doing what's best for kids. And so now we have to have a conversation because I show up in this building to do what's best for kids, not always to please adults.
Let me throw this in the mix. This is me with my principal's hat on. And David Isaacson out there and on YouTube, I'm seeing your comments, and this is kind of an outgrowth of what you've been expressing. I'm principal. I'm a proponent, Nicole, of the leadership. Let's say any leadership team is any administrative team of 2 or more administrators in terms of administrative leadership team. I'm a proponent of the leadership team at the high school level. We know there's going to probably, if it's a good size, at least 5 administrators, 1 AP per grade level. I'm a proponent, a strong proponent, a staunch proponent of the leadership team meeting daily, right? Just the leadership team, because there's so much with the administrative leadership team to discuss, right? Now, the instructional coaches, I tend to infuse them into the leadership team, but not with all leadership team business.
Right.
But I think that one of the main areas of discussion of a leadership team is instruction, because again, instruction's where the rubber meets the road. So if we're administrators and we're talking operations, systems, and procedures all day, when do we get to the administrative aspects, the teaching and learning, if you will, of our school? So at that point, I need the instructional leaders to be a part of the leadership team, right? So I'm making a distinction. I'm not comparing what you said with what I'm saying. I'm making a distinction in terms of the question I asked, in terms of now leadership team having our daily meeting, and should the instructional coaches be a part of our discussions? And in my mind, particularly if unions are not an issue, then I want those folks to be a part of that meeting, because of the way that I believe that leadership team administratively should be meeting on a regular basis.
Yes, but Principal Kafele, they could be a part of it as 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So say for instance, the meeting is 45 minutes or an hour afterwards. After school, you guys meet up to kind of, calibrate on what's happening for that week. Absolutely. The first thing is the 10 minutes. Hey, let's talk about instruction. What is this? What are we seeing? What are we not seeing? What are you seeing? Okay, you got your task. You report out. This is what I kind of did today. These are some of the things that are doing great. Okay, cool. I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And now you have your operational pieces, your behavior, your parent conferences, all of those things that I don't have to be a part of.
Right.
But yeah, you just keep and that was the thing. Like, we had a building every Monday. They had like a 2 or 3 hour meeting, because just like what you said, when it's a high school, it's a lot of people and a lot of different components and departments that have to talk and report and making sure that, we're on track for graduation and, all of that kind of stuff. But I didn't need to be a part of all of that. That's him. That's my principal. Um, and so that's when me and Dr. Law, we were like, hey, let's just get me in and out, because I could spend some time really out there. And so we amazingly, he transformed that school. And so because of, we did that kind of specific work.
Salute to you, Principal Law. Salute. Yes, I'm. Oh man, my washing machine is making a lot of noise. Stand by a second. He can't even hear me. I'm gonna have to just deal with it. All right. So clarity between, let me go back to where we are. Clarity between the coaches and building principals. Yeah, so that's where I am. I got one more question around that though. And my question is this. I'm a I'm a principal. I've never had an instructional coach on my staff ever. And for the first time, I have that opportunity to be instructional, to hire an instructional coach. Talk to us about, once that person is hired, talk to us about, in your mind, if you could put on that administrator's hat, um, what kind of conversation might I need to engage my new instructional coach that I've never had one, and my instructional coach has never been one, right? What kind of conversation might I have to just lay a foundation for us to build relative to that role?
So the very first thing that I think you guys need to do is to write out the vision of the role, right? So together you need to ask those questions. Okay, what is it, or how do you see this role? Like, what do you see your day-to-day operations being like? What is it? How do you think you're gonna start working with teachers? What does that look like? Talking about the master schedule, talking about the teachers that are, of course, our new teachers, and then who are our uncertified teachers that got their license, got an emergency permit, they're in a program, but they have no idea what is happening. They may have a few weeks of pedagogy and nothing on management. So really identifying those teachers and kind of getting a game plan for what that's going to look like, and building and really talking about how to respect one another. And so those things should just be on the agenda of where to start and begin. Coaching programs in buildings are different in every single building. And so really it's a trial and error. So you're going to start to implement things, and when things come up that you didn't suspect, when roadblocks come up, what do? You just come back to the table and discuss. And then you just have to start to build what that looks like over the first year. That first year is not going to be easy, and don't look for a ton of impact, right? Because if it's new to the principal and it's new to the coach, it's new to the building. It's
Mhm.
new to the teachers, and they don't really know what to expect. And so, because of that, it's kind of like, hey, we're making this shift to a coaching culture. We already, we're making a shift to professional learning communities. Let me give you some background knowledge on what that looks like. And then together, we're moving this. And so, things are going to come up. You guys are going to talk to them, try to work them out, and just keep going. So, the very first conversation is really just about getting each other's ideas of what this role looks like out there on paper. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm a big chart paper person. So we're putting some chart paper up and some markers, and we're talking about it. We're doing brainstorming. We're circling things that we both feel are the same. We're going through those processes in that meeting together, which will probably take you a couple of hours. And then, just really talk about experiences and things and visions and where you want to see the building, and again, that school improvement plan, and what are those goals, and all of that. And then together say, okay, let's start doing this semester one, and put that thing in place, and try to implement some of those things. And so that's what I would say that you start, because it's definitely a trial and error, and it's not something that's going to be perfect on year one. And you create that relationship, and you create that culture together.
And as I look at the talking points, we've actually covered, or you actually covered, a lot of this. So I don't know that there's need to really go in depth with any of them. Creating a coaching culture is key. And I don't know if you need to add anything, because I know you kind of went hard there. We good?
Yeah.
The
Yep,
next
we're
one,
good on that one.
admin coaching before evaluation. You hit that hard. I really believe in coaching before evaluating, right? So
Yes.
we good there. See, we covered them, y'all. A foundation in the classroom before evaluation. As a leader, coach, or principal, it's crucial to help teachers establish a strong classroom foundation before we jump into evaluating them. So I think we good, right? And then
Yep.
the last one, using, and I probably should have set it up so I could put the image you sent me on screen, but using the simple core four in coaching. The simple core four framework is just that. It is the guide for everyone, teachers, coaches, and leaders, on what's essential in the classroom. Was there anything else you wanted to say about the simple core four?
I just think that we really need to utilize it, share it. I was in a district in Texas, and they took the core four and they aligned it to their T-test. So
Mm,
if you are in Texas, the T-test, you could just align it and say, hey, this is working through these pillars is how to help you on your evaluation. and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then teachers can see that, like, oh my goodness. And it goes back to that coaching before. There are some districts here, one district in Indiana that has fully adopted the Core 4 as a part of the way in which they support teachers and new teacher programs. So if you have a new teacher program, this is definitely something that you should do. So again, it's organization, that's pillar one, really building the organization in the classroom, working with those parents, even knowing what to grade and how to grade and why we assign. That's all about organization. The second one is that management and culture. So, how do we establish some type of management system in the classroom? And then, how do we totally build a culture of learning in that class? And I say this all the time. Principals will say, like, well, I was teaching sixth grade, and you can probably tell I'm loud. I'm loud. And I mean, baby, my kids reflect it. So if you walk past my classroom, it was never quiet. But I taught sixth grade, and I taught with a team teacher. And so I taught math and science, and she taught ELA and social studies. And I'm tall, she's short. She was very quiet and very, just relaxed. And I'm like, what's up? Good morning. Getting you this class. I'm loud. Those same kids that we would transfer in the class, when they rotated and left in my class, they were loud in my class and they were quiet and just relaxed as a student in her class. That
Mm,
all comes from the culture of the teacher, right? Of the classroom. And so that's the thing about helping teachers create that management plan, implementing that management plan and creating that culture in the classroom. So you have that organization, move into management culture, and then helping teachers to understand that content. Because what I've learned is that we have created teachers, and I will say this, I won't say it's a whole generation. I won't say that, but it's a lot of them that is out there of I call them robot teaching versus actual real teaching, or fidelity teaching versus real teaching. That's the one difference that I have. And so helping teachers to really understand, unpack, learn that content, and then understand instructional strategies and when to do it in the classroom. I use a thing called time mapping when I work with teachers. So we create the lesson and we time map, give it like 5 minutes on this activity, 10 minutes on that activity, 15 minutes on this activity. But then I also help the teacher to understand that if they're doing a 5 minute mini lesson, we're going to identify what the teacher is doing and what the student is doing. Right. And so a lot of times when we lesson plan from the perspective of what I am doing in the classroom, but I never talk about what my students are doing in the classroom. And so making sure that we have that, what the teacher is doing, what the student is doing. And then if you have a para, or if you have a special education teacher or anything like that, the coach should work with the teacher on being able to see what that lesson plan looks like. And now we have that plan. And so now we have to execute it. Right. And so now we're focusing on what that execution looks like. And then how you're supporting that teacher in execution. And that's when the modeling and those coaching strategies that I talk about in the book, all of that comes into play in that part. So the simple core four is just those basic things. It's not something that's going to go out of style. You know what I'm saying? It's not, because in education things can swing this way, that way, right? But
yeah.
these are just basic things, right? Setting expectations. I mean, we're going to set expectations for the next 300 years, I'm sure. And so kind of working through that. So that is the simple core four, just making sure that teachers understand it, what it is, and then that's how you service and support teachers.
Nicole, a week ago, I posted an article, and I wish I had the exact title, but the premise of the article, it was published in ASCD's Educational Leadership. The premise is that lesson planning is obsolete. We need to stop doing it the way we do it. I had no intentions on bringing up anything around lesson planning until I saw my sister in this work, Dr. Sheikah Houston, posed this question. What are your thoughts on lesson planning as a coach? And she said, you need them, right? And what are your thoughts there? And let me give you a little bit more context. Lesson planning for me personally now is an extremely hot topic, right? And I think she could probably put that up there because she knows that it's just a very hot topic for me on a very personal level. I'm not curious about your thoughts on lesson planning. I'm not going to ask you to put that out there if that's not, because that may not be something you want to put out there. If it is, and the floor is yours. I just want you to respond to the question.
Okay, well, my thoughts on lesson planning is how you gonna show up and not know what you're doing?
Okay, then we on the same page.
I mean, that just doesn't make sense. Would you go to, now tell me this, would you pay $200 to go see, I mean, however much money you pay to go see the Knicks on tomorrow or Monday or whatever, right? You're gonna show up at that game. Thousands of dollars. And you're gonna show up at that game and nobody knows who nobody knows the plays. So the coach is just like 24, and then the people looking around like, the ball is going here, this is doing that, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff, right? Who does that? You cannot, and if you went to a play and you paid hundreds of dollars to sit at a play that you thought that you were seeing, and the actors get up there and they don't know the words. They don't know what it is happening next. They don't know where they're supposed to stand. They don't know where they're supposed to do any of that. You would be like, I'm never paying another dime to see this. Why do we think that we can just wake up in the morning, grab a book, and start reading out the book without learning or knowing what it is we're talking about? So for me, now, does it have to be a 20,000 page document with all of that to do? Like, no, I don't think it needs to be that, but I do think that a teacher needs to understand the content. They need to understand the standards and the skills in which they're teaching. They need to know their students. They need to know who knows what, right? To be able to fill in those gaps. And then they need to know the expectation of what it is that they're doing in the classroom and what it is that the students are expected to do in the classroom. And that's that. Like, that just, to me, I feel you, because I have seen where we should treat people like professionals. And I'm like, that is a professional. That is a professional. You don't see actors complaining that they got to practice before they shoot a movie. Like, well, they should be treated like they're professional actors, right?
Unless you
they get up there.
Unless you Allen Iverson, we talking about practice.
All I'm saying is that it baffles me to think that you can get in front of a classroom and that you can teach something without understanding it or knowing it, and especially in your first 5 years. Like, you haven't mastered that content enough to be able to say, I could just get up and teach. I mean, I've been out the classroom for about 9 years, right? Indiana has new standards. We got new things. If I had to go back into the classroom next school year, you best believe every Sunday I'm gonna be sitting at the table learning and planning and trying to figure out, because that's the only way you're gonna teach the material to the kids.
Yeah. Well, let me. I just went over.
Sorry. Yes, that was.
No,
No, you
good.
That hit a chord as well.
Let me put it on the screen here, and this is not me criticizing, because I'm just there's just. Stop making teachers submit lesson plans. And then it has, and with the exclamation, where are we at? Yeah, no, wrong way. There you go, exclamation. But the subtitle is what's really intriguing. It says this archaic practice wastes time, erodes trust, and detracts from what really matters. So he gives some, I read this a couple of times. He gives some suggestions. It's called backwards design, and some other suggestions on what the substitution would be. But the bottom line is the title. Stop making teachers submit lesson plans. As a leader, I could not do my job without knowing in my soul, my heart and soul, that those lessons have been planned. But I'm going to take it a step further, because in the article, he states that many administrators, and I don't know how he, I don't know in which way he quantified it, but many administrators, I don't remember anyway, do not read them. Well, to speak for Principal Kafele, lesson plans were submitted electronically once we got to this thing called email. So I got them typically on Sundays, Sunday night going into Monday morning. So Monday afternoon, it was the most tedious portion of my week, most time consuming portion of my week. Monday afternoon after the staff meeting, and assuming we don't have a varsity game that night, but sometimes we did. It's going to be a long night because of the teachers that I evaluate, the teachers I supervise. I'm not reading the plans of the teachers I don't supervise, but the teachers I supervise, I'm reading every plan. That's going to take some time, but I'm reading every plan, and I'm providing feedback where necessary. And I'm going to say this, even though we're a little bit off topic, but yet we are on topic. I want to say this to you, Nicole. During my internship, and this is all in the new book, during my administrative internship, one of the professors wanted us to shadow a principal. So about 15 of us met at this school here in Jersey, and the principal, to make a very long story short, took us to the first classroom. And I thought we were going, as we approached the room, I assumed we were going to walk into the room. But instead, he stopped us, and he said, I want to tell you what you're about to see instructionally. And I found that intriguing, having been at the time a fifth grade teacher. And in my mindset, when I become an assistant principal, I'll probably be a full-time disciplinarian. So to have this person talk to us in the hallway about what we were about to see amazed me. So then we go into the classroom, and we're literally seeing what he said we were going to see. So then the cynic in me said, okay, he planned for us to be here. He knew which classroom to take us to, blah, blah, blah. So then we go to another room that's a different subject. And he said, okay, here's what we're going to see. We go in, that's what we see. Then we come out and we debrief. Then we go to another room, another subject area. Here's what you're going to see. Okay. We go in, we see it, it's happening, what he said we were going to see. Then we come out and we debrief. And it went on. So then at that point, I concluded in my head, I said, when I become an administrator, I want to be that guy. I want to know those classes that way. So then as I became one and began to really process that experience from a few years back now, I said, this man not only read the lesson plans, but this man was instructional leader. So his thumbprint was all throughout the room. We just couldn't see it, but he saw it. And now we can see it without seeing it. So I concluded once again, I want to be him. That's my role model, right? Not go into a classroom and be surprised and amazed by what I see because I'm so detached from that aspect of the classroom. But no, I go like when I go to the game tomorrow night, I don't know the practice that they went through. I don't know the film study. I don't know the planning for the game. But let me tell you what I do know. I know what to expect on that basketball court. I do know that. I know the game of basketball. I know certain things that I expect to see happening on the court, whether it be blocking out, rebounding, assisting, scoring, whatever. I know basketball. So But it's easy for some of us to go into a classroom and not thoroughly understand the instruction, the pedagogy that we're observing. See, that matters. So I bring that full circle to therefore say, I got to know what's in them plans. I have to know that the lesson I'm observing was planned for. Does that mean that within the first 5 minutes, that plan could become obsolete? I get that. But at least I still see that the planning occurred for us to get to that obsolescence, right? So planning is everything to me. I guess I got emotional on it just as you did, right? And probably several people on the call, but there could be others on the call that said, "Nah, I'm with this dude. I ain't got no time to be
Well,
no lesson plan."
so here's the thing. As an instructional coach or as an administrator, if you have a coach, then you guys together can support teachers in those lesson plans. Right? Again, I go back to the lesson plan doesn't have to be 45 pages, but it should be where the teacher understands the content and understands the flow of what it is that they're doing in the classroom, right? I know that one big thing is that to submit the lesson plans and to do this and to do that, like I just feel like it's a necessity. Again, it's just the way in which you actually, do them. But it has to be thoughtful and it has to be purposeful, the way that they have it. So, yes, I just think administrators should have a role in it. I do know several administrators who don't read the lesson plans, they just sit in a basket. So I get that whole point. But when you are an instructional leader, you lead with instruction, right? So you are making sure that that instructional piece is together. And those are the conversations that you're having. It also lends back to what we were talking about, coach before you evaluate, right? So if you're reading the lesson plans and you're giving feedback and you're helping teachers to get better before they evaluate based on the plans, then hey, you're doing that. You're coaching before you're evaluating.
I love it. We could stop it right there. I probably need to do a session with someone where we just maybe a group of people where we just dive deep on lesson planning, because that's again that's a hot topic for me. It's a stickler for me. And see on the motivational side of who I am and the work I do. I don't know how anybody moves forward with any kind of goal, any kind of dream, any kind of vision without having a plan. I am in the professional seat that I am today, whether that be as a successful teacher, successful principal, successful speaker, consultant, whatever it is. I saw this years ago. I set goals, short term, long term. I made it my purpose, my passion, but I wrote the plan.
Mhm.
I didn't just, all right, God, do your thing. I did that, but I didn't rely solely on it. I do this every day. And as I said in another presentation when I went way off script, one of these Saturday academies, I did a whole sermon. Some of y'all were on here about 3 weeks ago where I talked in the monologue, I think, where I talked about expectancy. And I'll say it again. I just won't do the sermon. I wake up in the morning expecting God to perform miracles in my life. I do. Because of my relationship to God. Right? Somebody said, "Come on, Cafe, you getting spiritual on here?" Not, I mean, this whole platform is spiritual, right? So, just its existence is spiritual. Some of y'all understand what I just said, right? So I wake up with expectancy, right? So that piece matters. But me as a human being, I gotta plan my steps, man. I can't just step out here and just do, right? I can't rely solely on the prayer. Now I gotta have like, okay, what's your short-term plan? Like, what's Monday going to look like toward
Mhm.
this dream of yours. And matter of fact, I'm getting hyped too, y'all. This dream that everybody doesn't believe in. I'm talking to somebody out there right now, right? This dream that everybody doesn't believe in. This dream that doesn't make sense to everybody. This dream that seems unrealistic to someone. Why don't you just try this job over here? Why are you trying to do this big thing that no one else has ever done, so to speak, somebody? See, that's the part where you got to go you want the prayer to help you to plan, right? So pray the prayer, but now you got to pray that you can write the plan that's going to make the best sense for you to be able to get to this place where you're trying to get to. But if you're going to just get out here and wing it, so going back to the classroom, I don't need no plan, man. I know what I'm doing as a teacher. I'm just gonna go in here, man. This been working for me for a while. But you got 25 different lives in that room. They're not the same. They're all different.
Yes.
And because they're all different, I'm not asking you to have 25 different plans, but I am asking you that your plan considers the 25 different learners, right? So then this guy comes up, stop making teachers submit plans? Really? I ain't beating up on this dude. I may have met him before. I don't know. But I am saying, but it's fair game for me to comment on it because it's public. It's like people comment on my stuff, and sometimes people trash my stuff. It's public. I'm good with it, right? I'm saying it respectfully that planning matters. Woo! In everything we do, planning matters, coinciding with the self-reflection, self-assessment, self-adjustment, self-improvement, self-preservation, self-care. They all matter. Woo! But anyway, I went somewhere else, Nicole.
That's okay. It needed to be said, and someone out there is listening and taking it in, and they do understand they could have had a different perspective, and now they see that planning is necessary because if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail, right? As they say. So planning is necessary, even as an administrator. And I spoke about it a little bit earlier today. Even when I said like time map and create that protected time in your building where you're going to be in those rooms. That's planning. That's planning to support instruction, right? And so we have to look at it from all different perspectives. I have to get that article because is he just talking about where we just don't want them to be submitted, or are we saying but teachers shouldn't plan at all? So I will read that article. I'll grab that because
it's online, so you don't have to have the magazine. It's online. Put ASCD and then lesson plan off. It pop right up.
I got it.
I wasn't going to bombard you with the impact questions because you answered them before, but then I said, man, that was 30 weeks ago, and she may be looking at the world and some of these questions a little bit differently. So let's
now.
One sentence. We're gonna go boom, 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 bam. Let's knock it out in 60 seconds. Here we go. 20 questions. Is education on the right path for underserved children in America?
No.
Are you optimistic about the educational prospects for the masses of Black, brown, and other underserved students in America?
Maybe.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
A lot has to happen first.
Does Nicole Turner's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Yes.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
The same.
Why do you continue to do the work that you do?
Because of those brown and Black babies.
What particularly fires you up within the work that you do?
The light bulb going off on teachers, the impact that it'll have later.
What do you particularly love about the work that you do?
the impact that it has on teachers and students.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
Working with humans. Different opinions of all of what it is that we have.
Yeah, yeah. What has been your greatest victory in this work thus far?
The books, the books that people have access to the content.
What has been your greatest mistake in this work thus far?
Not living in my gift sooner.
What has been your greatest challenge in this work thus far?
Being a mother and this at the same time.
Who inspires you in your work?
So many. Of course, you, Dr. Anthony Muhammad, definitely Jim Knight. He inspires me to see what needs to be done in urban education is different. See who else inspires me. It's so many
So,
that I just am there. Yeah.
what are you reading right now? Could be a book, could be a blog, an article, a tweet, anything.
What am I reading? I read a lot of self-help books. So I just finished Big Money Dream by Ryan Serhant. I like inspirational, different books like that. I'm also writing a book, so geez, I don't have time to read as much.
I grew up on those books. Adult grew up, not child, but adult grew up on self-help, and I still love that kind of reading as well. What book do you recommend our viewers read?
Simply Instructional Coaching.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that would be appropriate, right?
Yeah.
What do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
I want the blueprint to have a blueprint in American education.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Are you satisfied with where you are professionally right now?
No.
All right. What could you say to your viewers what could you say to our viewers out there who continue to face closed doors?
Keep going.
What could you say to a viewer out there who's lost their fire?
Reset. They need you.
And if Nicole Turner was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
If they don't give you a seat at the table, create one.
Love it. You know, I'm going to go back to the other session 30 weeks ago when I want to see how different your answers may be over time. I think because there's only been a handful of folks who've been on twice. Yourself, LaQuanta Nelson, Sheikah, Tammy, Josh, and Sean, and Vincent Stallings, and those are the only ones who have been on twice. So be interesting to see if your answers have changed over time, or if they were consistent. So I'm gonna definitely be checking that out. But other than that, you know, I got to thank you immensely for this session. The folks in the family, they already know what we do. So fam, if this was a great session for you, if it resonated for you, if it added value to your leadership, if it was interesting, inspiring, intriguing, whatever words we use, hit us up with those emojis as you've already started. Hit us up with the emojis, your favorite emojis, and let us know that this session was the real deal. Those of you who are not part of the fam, meaning you've never been here before, this is your first time, this is what we do. This is how we applaud our guests, because, you know, we're virtual and we can't see you. It's not Zoom, so I can't turn on a volume button and hear you, right? So we put the emojis up, and I see you guys are letting it flow. So keep it flowing for me, please, if it resonated with you. And I'm going to reach out and get my emoji, my big that one of my clients out in Louisville, Jefferson County, gave me as a gift. And you hit it out the park, man. Every time you came to the plate, grand slam. And I'm wearing the right jersey. I'm wearing my Willie Mays San Francisco Giants, man. It's number 24, right? So I feel like Superman when I put on my Willie Mays, because Willie Mays I consider one of the best baseball players to ever lace them up and play the game. You know, I don't want to call them the best because there's a few of them out there, and I don't want to do a disservice, but certainly one of the best to ever play this game called baseball. Right. So, Nicole, tell them again about the summit, how to get your books, and how to reach you.
Sure. So the summit, simplycoachingsummit.com. It is again, it's on July 8th through the 10th. It is for not just instructional coaches, but leaders, superintendents, districts, support any of those. So all of you guys are welcome. There are sessions there for you. You can also go to my website, simplyinstructionalcoaching.com. I'm there. It's blogs. It's a ton of things out there that you can get. I am published through Solution Tree. So you could grab my books there. I present just a couple of places. I'll be the keynote speaker at the Virginia ASCD conference. If you guys are in Virginia, in December, I'm at Coach Fest. In September, I'm at Gym Nights conference. In October, I will have my own workshop for Solution Tree in Houston, Texas next May. So if you go out, it is a 2-day workshop, just me and all of this good content through Solution Tree. So that'll be an amazing session. Both of my books, look for the newer book that'll come out later this year in 2024. Hopefully, if I can get it to them, get my final manuscript there.
Right.
And that's pretty much how you can reach me. Again, you could email support@simplyinstructionalcoaching.com. I'll be there to answer any questions that you have. I'm not one of those people that don't respond to email. So if you need to, go ahead, support@simplyinstructionalcoaching.com. I do sessions. Again, I work with districts, I work with schools. So I can come to your school, I could come to your district, I could do all those things. We do it in person and virtual. So any of that, where you can reach me.
I love it. Y'all attend that summit, right? Simplycoachingsummit.com. Simplycoachingsummit.com. Be there July 8, 9, and 10. I'll be one of the presenters on the 8th live, right? So make sure you're there. Honey Jones here says, I just came in, but what I heard is a big thanks. So Honey Jones, now you know you missed 211 sessions. This was session number 212. So I want you to go to the AP and New Principals Academy on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified when we come on every Saturday at 10:55 Eastern time. But you can also binge watch the previous 211 sessions. So make sure, and anybody else that's new to the platform, but don't let this be your last time here. Let this be your first time, and now you rock with us, because I'm gonna be doing this until I can't do it no more. Right? It's my list of future guests is 5 years long. Right? 5 years. Let me tell y'all this before y'all leave. I got agents calling me. Right. I got agents calling. Can my client come on? I got people want to pay me, right? Like, how much would you charge? I ain't charging nobody no money, right? It's that's not what I'm about, right? So I could turn this into a money maker for me, but I ain't that's not who I am, right? But I got agents calling me. I got people calling without agents. Just Principal Kafele, I'm this, I'm that. Can I come on the platform? Like, yeah, I put you on the list, but I got like 5 years ahead of you, but I'm not following any sequence though. It's like what I'm feeling in a given week. Oh, I need this person this week. So they jump ahead of the line. But I'm just saying I'm gonna be doing this for a long time because I got a lot of people lined up. Right. So let me do my rundown and then we're gonna be finished. First, thank you everybody who joined in today for being here today, those who commented and those who just sit back in the cut without making comments, right? Thanks for being here. And I hope to see you next week, where our guest will be another one who's been with us before. I told him I got to get him back on. My man, his name is Rick Wormley. And I'm gonna I've never done this before except when he comes on because of our topic. I'm referencing the fact that he's white. Now, why would you be telling us your guest is white? because we're having a discussion on race, right? We're talking about race in education, but from the two perspectives, my perspective of being a black man and his perspective of being a white man, right? So the way we're gonna do it, if those of you who saw us the first time, we interviewed or conversed with each other. It's not me interviewing him. It's we gonna have a conversation. I got certain questions I want to ask him. I told him have certain questions to ask me, and we just gonna let it flow. I don't want to know his questions in advance, and he definitely not gonna get my questions in advance. We just gonna let it flow, and we would, but we gonna have an authentic, real, raw conversation. A black man and a white man talking about race in education. So you don't want to miss that. So join us for week number 213 next Saturday, 10:55. Let's see. Will I be here? Yeah, I think I'll be here for that one. You know, I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna be home until June because I took off the month of May to write that book. Now I'm gonna be for the second half of the month. I'm just gonna be reviewing and revising and editing. So I'll be here. So join us for week number 213 every Saturday, 10 o'clock. Facebook Live, Sean Hurt, 10:30, Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor. We call it Super Saturday. Josh Tovar is back online. I think you call it 4 Central, Josh. I think you're still here. So that would be 5 Eastern. I hope I got that right. I don't even know the name of it. I got to get the name of your platform so I can put it in here. And but that's Facebook Live. You can go to I think you go to Josh. I'm not even sure what platform you're using, Josh. Give me all that information, man. Send it to me in a text. I can't do it. I can't. Don't send it to me on social media. Send me a text of all the particulars so that I'll have it here in my rundown. So that's that. And then we call ourselves the Fantastic Four in terms of the platforms, not the individuals, because it's more than 4 individuals. Oh, here it is. No, that's not what I want. So it's on MPA Go Jaguars. I thought you were just MPA Jaguars. So oh no, you just okay, that's just a comment. Hey Josh, man. Okay, here we go. He said 4 Central. So go to MPA Jaguars, 4 Central, 5 Eastern. You know, we don't go through the world, America, talking about no Central time, man. We say Eastern rules everything. So 5 Eastern, 4 Central. Right, so that's Josh, and he's got a partner here, Dr. Moreno, as he says, Dr. Moreno. I can't, you know, my Spanish ain't good, man. So Dr. Moreno, right? So here we go. Muchas gracias. That's right, Jefe. That's my nickname from Josh, right? Means chief. So my books, man, I ain't gonna give you I better. My administrative books, I wasn't going to do this. It's late in the day, man, but we still got like 536 real-time viewers. You think I ain't going to do this? The Aspiring Principal 50. Is my school a better school because I lead it? The Principal 50. The Assistant Principal 50. And my newest joint, the Assistant Principal Identity. Right, so you can go to Amazon and get all 5, and in my teacher books, they're there as well. Get everything, man. Just get your hands on all that. Let me get rid of them comments real quick. They said, "Well, you getting rid of ain't you signing off?" Yeah, I'm signing off, y'all. Make sure you subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. We're at 21,000, almost. I mean, 20. Yeah, we're almost at 22,000 now. So make sure that you subscribe, man. I feel blessed about having so many subscribers, man. That's a lot of subscribers. That's like more than a basketball arena. When I go to the basketball arenas, I look around, just, you know, I'm saying, man, that's how many subscribers I got. Like, I'll do that in the Garden tomorrow when I'm at Game 7 watching the Knicks win Game 7 against the Indiana Pacers, right? I'll be there. I'll be in the building, y'all. I got good seats too. All them speaker fee money, all my speaker fees went to Madison Square Garden tomorrow. So I'll be in the Garden. Y'all look for me on TV. I'll be wearing a Knick jersey. Everybody in there be wearing a Knick jersey. All right. Like and follow the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page. Maybe I'll write a quick essay before I get going with my day, man. I'm going to try. And then lastly, your diet. You know, somebody said, a lot of folks been coming up to me lately. I don't know what it is, but people been coming up. They said, Kafele, man, you look real good. Man, a lot of people. Yesterday in Houston, man, you looking good. I'm like, well, you know, I'm taking care of myself. They don't know about when I slip in that bag of chips, man. Don't tell nobody though, right? When I slip that ice cream cone in from Carvel down around the corner. But moderation, y'all. Moderation. Now you know I'm gonna be eating that popcorn at the Garden tomorrow when the Knicks win against the Pacers in Game 7. I'm gonna be eating the popcorn. You know, I gotta eat my popcorn, man. I'm a popcorn junkie, but I have cut back significantly. Significantly, I've cut back. But you know, I gotta eat my popcorn. Your exercise, get that in. And then your virus and disease precautions, man. I don't even have to say COVID no more because it's more than COVID. It's stuff out here. I'm on the plane going to Houston the other night, right? I'm sitting in the window on the right side facing, right? So this side. My man next to me, he coughed. I looked at him, I said, no disrespect, sir, but we ain't doing this 4-hour flight like that. He called for a considerable amount of time. I said, no disrespect, sir, but whatever you got, I can't catch that. So we put that I put that N95 on because he was next to me, right? I'm like, so I ain't gonna be breathing too well on this flight. N95 mean you ain't breathing, right? But I ain't catching that. So, so whatever precautions you got to take, man, I ain't going to be, all polite and courteous to people they sick on the plane. The first person to put on the mask should not be me. The first person to put on the mask should have been him. The mask is to protect the people around you. Somebody said, why Kafele going through this mask thing, man? We talking instructional leadership, and he said we were over. Yeah, we done, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all make sure you join me next Saturday, though, with Rick Wormley. We gonna get down on that one, right? In terms of that conversation around race. So you join me next Saturday at 10:55. Other than that, you all have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. Count to 3. I don't know if this thing gonna mute me, man, but let's try it. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I see y'all next Saturday, man. But again, y'all have a great week, but stay safe at the same time. Stay there, Nicole.